hey, look, folks, we're at the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and kick off our rescheduled program. You know, the winter storm deferred what we're going to do, but it didn't prevent what we're going to do. And so that's another reminder for us as speakers, being able to pivot quickly, adapt freely, and to be able to serve our clients when their needs change and when the needs around the world change. So all sorts of teachable moments. My name is Alana Hill. I have the privilege of serving as president for the NSA Houston chapter this year. None of this, not only this program, but all of the programming and member value that we have would not be possible without our incredibly exceptional board. So will my board members please give us this and there you go. You can see them in the video. And you guys, please acknowledge them. They work so hard. And as you can even imagine, without power, shifting to make sure that we can reschedule this. So I want to give a special acknowledgement to Kim Davis, our VP of Programs, who quickly adapted and contacted Nate and found us another date. So I appreciate you doing that in the middle of so many other things going on. So again, you know, we have these, you know, as part of a community, and we, you know, do our best together and help one another build our businesses. Our theme this year is adapting together, and we have so many examples and opportunities to do that as a result of the pandemic and everything else that's going on. Let's brace ourselves. We're going into our rainy season. Those of us native Houstonians know what that could start to look like. So we will be looking to you, Yoram, for some of these other tech tips to make sure that we can stay online because that's going to be helpful. But hey, so we've got some great people with us today. We love to acknowledge our visitors. Do we have any visitors here that are visiting with us for the very first time? Yoram, thank you for visiting from North Texas, right? All right, good to see you. And I'm looking around, and aside from our speaker who will introduce, I don't see any other visitors, so happy to see you all here. You know, NSA is a training and development, or is a professional development association. And so as a result, there are professional development levels within the organization. And I'll just mention quickly, you have professional members, and professional members are also members of our national NSA of our national NSA body. And they also serve within our local community in varying ways. And then we have what we call our CSPs, which is our Certified Speaking Professionals. And that's a designation given to a few verified speakers within our industry and within our organization. And I often acknowledge them. No, I don't see any present. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ed is. Right, Ed's a CSP. He just doesn't have. Usually, people have the comma CSP behind their name. So if we have any CSPs, let's pause and recognize them. There we go. All right. Thank you, Ed. And it's an awesome designation, and often our CSPs become great mentoring resources for us. And Ed has been an incredible mentor, not just to me, but to members of our chapter as a whole. So we're greatly appreciative of those who have experience, because we know that iron sharpens iron, and they help us by sharing that experience. Well, hey, we've got an exciting program. We've been looking forward to this for so long, Nate. I mean, I saw you at Influence, and I had copious notes. Some of them I implemented, and some got put on my to-do list. So this has been my designated reshift that focus. I even told some of my team members, we're hitting YouTube hard after I hear Nate. So with that said, I want to get out of the way, and I'm going to bring up Kim Davis, our VP of Program, so she can introduce the speaker, so we can have a fabulous program.
And I want to acknowledge the fact that Nate was so gracious in rescheduling, and right away offered to reschedule for this week. I know his schedule is busy, so just off the top, we want to say thank you for being so flexible. It was last minute, and we really appreciate it. And we're glad that you were able to get back with us so soon. So I want to say thank you for that. For those of you who don't know, Nate Woodbury is a producer for 20 YouTube channels. He's achieved a track record of success helping speakers and coaches leverage YouTube to generate leads and clients for their businesses. Now, he loves pulling back the curtains on channels. Yes, I said a variety of channels, showing the example you can take to achieve a predictable success. Now, today, You'll come away with a big vision of what's possible on YouTube. As Elena said, and we have to do the implementation. So it will help generate leads for your business. And you also have actionable roadmap to get started on YouTube. So if you are starting or struggling or thinking about YouTube, you're in the right place. Nate, thank you. And I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me and for that kind introduction. And I want to share a secret with you all. I am trying something brand new today. So as you'll learn today, I really know YouTube and I really am strong on my strategy. But an area that I have been weak is live streaming. Right now I'm using my DSLR camera and I've got a switcher so I can switch over to yes, you can see that, and I can even do this. So this is the first time that I've been able to figure this out, and I had to anyway. I might have some glitches, and if you have some glitches, I'll go back to just using Zoom and sharing my screen that way. But this is kind of fun. So I'm real excited. I love the NSA. I've been a part of the NSA for 8 years, and I didn't join the NSA because I was a speaker at the time. I joined the NSA because it felt like my tribe. Just lots of influencers, lots of entrepreneurs, like-minded people who were influencing the world for good. And the word influence has been really important to me a long time. And then our annual conventions became named Influence. I'm like, yeah, this is my space. And hanging around with speakers so much, I started to speak, and so now I speak a lot to NSA chapters, but I speak a lot to other groups, YouTube groups, marketing groups, and whatnot. And so I'm actually, before I was an affiliate member of the NSA, but now I'm actually a regular professional member, which is so fun. And I want to start out talking about YouTube, actually talking about influence. And the one glitch that I might have is I'm using a different computer to run my slides. And sometimes, like right now, when I hit the button to advance, it doesn't advance. And then when I sit there and wait for a little bit, so that's one glitch that I don't know what is going on, but now it finally advanced. See? So, and then now I could advance all the way around as I want. It just, sometimes it freezes up. So we'll just deal with that little glitch. Yeah. I want to talk about influence and YouTube, okay? And I want to show you an example. Nicolene Peck is one of the channels that I produce. She is a parenting expert. She makes lots of videos teaching people how to parent, and I have to just give her kudos because a year ago in February, right before the pandemic hit, my wife and I attended one of her 3-day courses, or 3-day group trainings, and it really did transform our parenting. We don't have yelling in our home anymore. Our kids will do chores. We ask them to do chores and do it the first time. It's amazing. It's a miracle. So that's just shout out to her. But as we put out this content of hers on YouTube, we're having a big impact. And this is just one example that I'll show you. Actually, I've got two. One example from her that I'll read. She got this email. She forwarded it on to me. This was back in November, but I loved it. So Festus says, "Allow me to confess that you're a real blessing to humanity. You've touched my spirit and soul in a way I've never been in my walk under the sun. I'm just being frank. Human words cannot speak for me. Thank you very much. May the good Lord richly bless you, your husband, your ministry, and those who make this telecast channel, I guess, a reality." It's just, we get over the 20 channels that I produce, we get many hundreds of comments every single day with words of praise, or also just words of how this has impacted them. And I'll show you another example. So Paul Jenkins, I'm in the Mountain West chapter of the NSA, and he's one of our past presidents. He's a positivity psychologist, and he talks a lot also about parenting and also about relationships. And I just quickly grabbed a few screenshots. Tanya here says, "I love your approach. You've been helpful these past few months." I grabbed that one because it's like, okay, this person, Tanya's been coming back for several months, learning from Paul. This one says, "This guy's a genius. I've been using this for the past 2 weeks on my 2-year-old girl, and I was surprised that it worked." Or this one, you're a genius, it works. I swear I almost fell off my chair when he ate the chicken. So this must have been a video about how to get your kids to eat their dinner, another thing. You know, how to get your kids to listen without yelling. Says, thanks for this. I hate yelling at my son, so thank you. And that reminds me, actually, the very first time that Paul got a comment that hit him, like just kind of hit home what was possible with YouTube, is somebody in India watched his video and said, I've been struggling with my son for many years. I watched this episode. I tried it with my son and it worked. Thank you so much. And I'm feeling the emotion now because I felt it back then. And Paul's like, wow, I just helped out a mom in India. And in the beginning, now the channel's grown to over 200,000 subscribers. You know, I've got more, you know, anger management for mothers. And this lady says, my eyes filled with tears when I read your title. I feel like I'm always angry. And so this is the type of impact that we're having. And I want to quantify it. The numbers that we're looking at here, 32,000. That's how many views Paul's channel, and I took this screenshot in July, but these numbers are actually consistent with today. That's how many views his channel is getting every 48 hours. So divide that by 2, that's 16,000 views every single day. Now, today I'm going to show you some extreme examples. I'm going to show you a small example. I would say this is average. This is an average example. These aren't extreme numbers that we're looking at right here, 16,000 views a day. It's not something that the strategy you learned today, when you implement it, you're not going to get that number today. You're not going to get it in a month or a couple months. But these are numbers that if you implement this strategy for a year or two, then these are the numbers that you can expect. 32,000 views every 48 hours. YouTube likes to show a 48-hour increment. That's a lot of impact. I mean, imagine taking a stage like we do or used to, and like we're getting back to, where the audience was 6,000 people strong every single day. I mean, that's a lot of influence. I also, when I talk about influence, like what I'm going to share with you here is you're going to build real influence. I'm like, how can I emphasize let me go to Spider-Man. Okay. Spider-Man got bit by a spider. He gained these superpowers and he got some advice from his uncle. His uncle told him, with great power comes great responsibility. And that has always stuck with me. What I'm going to show you today is really going to help you grow your influence. People are going to find you, follow you, trust you. They'll take your advice, okay? And I love the NSA because we're using our influence for good. We're using our influence to make the world a better place. We're helping them. We're sharing our experience, our expertise. And that's the charge that I give you is the formula that I'm going to share. Everything that you're going to learn today is tactical, and you'll be able to walk away from this and start applying it. It will work. It will work. It will grow your influence. It's not a quick fix. It's going to take a year or two to really build the huge momentum, but I'm talking about life-changing, world-changing influence. All right, so I wanted to start out talking about influence, and let's see if my slides will advance. Oh, darn it. When I pause, right? Even if I hit the key on my, oh, it circled, so now it's working. I just have to give it a moment. Okay, now that we've talked about influence, I want to talk about revenue. I love revenue. I love income. It's not the focus, but it's an important part, and it makes success and it makes results really easy to track. So we're going to talk a lot about the money, the revenue, and show that to you, keeping it in perspective with why we're doing this, the influence and the impact that we're having. All right. The biggest example I can show is the Chris Crone channel. This is the first channel that I launched the strategy that you're going to learn today. I launched this channel with Chris Crone with subscribers back 6.5 years ago. And I'll give you a little bit more backstory later on. This channel is now over 600,000 subscribers. And just to talk about the revenue, this channel makes $1 million, actually now between $1 and $2 million every single month. Every single month. And that's from organic YouTube traffic. And this is from leads to his business. So we'll talk about all these things so you understand how this is happening. YouTube does pay, let me just switch over to this for a second. YouTube does pay revenue, okay? They have ad revenue, there's a partner program, we'll cover that briefly. That's not the focus of what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is using YouTube to generate leads for your business, okay? And so when I showed you that example of Chris Crone generating $1 million to $2 million every single month, because people come to YouTube, they see his videos, they get a lot of value. At the end, he has a call to action saying, hey, now that you've learned this principle, I want to give you my book. Click the link below and you can get access to my book for free. You just cover the shipping. Now they're in his sales funnel. Now he's got leads and he makes sales to those leads. And so that's business owners. You sell keynotes, you sell coaching, you sell courses and programs, you sell training, you put on retreats perhaps, books, all the other ways. And so that's what we're talking about. That's the core part of our revenue. All right, let me switch back to this. Oh, and it froze up on me again. I really apologize about that. And we'll just wait, because at this moment I actually forget what my next slide is, so I can't oh, there we go. What about a small, yes. I'm excited to talk to you about Stan the Annuity Man. When I say I have some extreme examples, average examples, and really small examples, this guy heard me speak at Influence and he became a client of mine after that. He talks all about annuities. Now, annuities are a boring topic. He's just got the personality. He makes annuities really, really cool. But look at his numbers. Now, his channel has grown since I took this screenshot, but he 1 to 200 views on a video. That's not a huge amount. It's hard because I can't give you specifics of his revenue. He's been successful. He's at a point in his career where he's doing extremely well. Well, since we launched the YouTube campaign, his revenue has doubled every year. We're finishing up the second year. What else can I say? I can tell you this. In the year 2019, that was his record year in revenue. And because of what we did on YouTube, by mid-June of 2020, he had surpassed his 2019 revenue just because of the leads he was getting from the YouTube channel. So this really, really works even if you're in a really, really small niche, just talking about annuities like Stan is. Okay, so now let's talk about you, okay? I love this picture of the world. I used to show one that had the United States on it, but then I spoke to a group over in France and I'm like, ooh, I found this great picture and it's just so beautiful. Okay, let me get back to it. Right now, all around the world, a lot of them are in the United States, but there's plenty of people in Europe and Australia and in other countries, other languages. Did you know that searching for you, I'm serious, if we really think about it, right now, right this moment, there are people searching for you. The problem is they don't know that you exist. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. And what do I mean? Well, they're going to Google and YouTube and they're typing in questions. So they're asking questions that you are the perfect person to answer. But they don't know how to find you. They don't know you by name. They've never heard of you before. And so that's where YouTube comes into the picture. YouTube really fixes that. It's the only source that I know other than Google, but Google for how-to content, Google sends people to YouTube. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about that. Let's talk about YouTube, because there are a lot of platforms out there. There's Vimeo, another video platform, or there's podcasting, or there's social platforms like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. They're embracing video or different types of content. So if I'm talking about growing influence, if I'm talking about generating leads for your business, why YouTube? And there are two major advantages that I hope I can paint the picture clearly for you so you can see. Okay, the first advantage is search. So these people that are searching for you, YouTube is a search engine. So you type in whatever you're searching for and YouTube finds it. We all use it. You know, we'll do searches. both on Google and YouTube, and we find what we're looking for. Compare that to another platform like Facebook. Have you ever tried to do a search on it? It is very frustrating because you never find it. I mean, somebody can say, hey, I posted this article or this video the other day. You go into Facebook search, the search doesn't work. You just have to go to their page or their profile and scroll down until you find it. I can't even find my own post. If I posted something like, say, a year ago and I just want to find it, I can't search for it. LinkedIn's, their search engine works a little bit like some of the videographers that I have on my team. I found them locally. I searched for local videographers and I found them through LinkedIn. So that's cool, but that's the only use I found for the LinkedIn search engine. I can't search for content or any training or expertise like that. So YouTube search engine is amazing. And by the end of our discussion today, you'll know exactly how to leverage. And I want to preface this. If we're talking about search engines, you've heard of SEO, you've heard of search engine optimization. That can be overwhelming. That can be complicated. I used to have a site SEO company. Now this is going back like 8 years ago. All that overwhelm, you can just set it aside, because what I'm going to show you is a new approach. It's actually really simple. You follow the steps that I'm going to show you today, and it ranks today. And there's no competition, and it's really, really simple. There's one tool that you can use, and I'm going to show you that tool as well. All right. I think I've talked a lot about search, and you're gonna see why. The other big advantage of YouTube is that it will promote your videos for you without you paying. In fact, YouTube will pay you. So let me explain that. YouTube has a partner program, and let's say this is YouTube and this is advertisers. So advertisers pay, let me just come over here so you can see my hands better. Advertisers pay YouTube money to show their ads. Well, they show their ads next to your videos, okay? So 55% of that revenue that comes in, they pay to you because the ads are shown next to your videos. That's pretty cool. So once you get to 1,000 subscribers on your channel, you can apply for that partner program. And when ads are shown next to your videos, you get 55% of that ad revenue. Now, there are many channels out there that is their focus. They just try and get as many views as possible so that they can make ad revenue. And, it ranges. Entertaining type channels, you've got to get, tens of millions of views to get thousands of dollars. In our space is something, it can be a lot more profitable because we sell services, and advertisers that want to sell their services want to advertise on our videos. It's actually a really good thing, though. And let me explain, because there's a much bigger advantage than just getting a piece of that ad revenue. So listen to this. When I make a video that makes YouTube money, YouTube will promote that video. Okay, and not only do I not have to pay for that, and YouTube pays me, so I get paid 55% of that. Let me give you a specific example. So on that Chris Crone channel, for 5.5 years, I was a 50-50 owner, and I got all the ad revenue. And so one video, it got, over a 2-year period, it got 6 million views because YouTube promoted it. And over that 2-year period, I was paid $160,000 in ad revenue. So that's pretty cool. That's 55% that YouTube sent to me. But my estimate is that the leads, Chris, for his real estate investing business, my estimate is that same individual video generated him about $3 million in sales revenue. So that's huge. That's huge. Obviously, we had competitors. It was real estate or other things that wanted to be in front of his audience. Those ads were shown Chris's videos. And what's a 30-second blip, and people know it's a sales pitch. But we want those there, one, because we get half the ad revenue, but two, because they're there, YouTube is going to promote our content. All right, so those are the two huge advantages. I'm not going to talk a lot about the promotion side of it, the ad revenue, other than I will show you some examples and show you some numbers, because that's just the icing on the cake. Ad revenue should be pretty small in comparison to the revenue that you're generating in your business, because you're building relationships with people. And the type of leads that you get from YouTube are like referral quality leads because they've been making eye contact with you, they like you, they trust you well before you're having a conversation with them. All right, so let's dive in. I've got, oh, and it froze again. Well, I'll start talking because I do know what's next. I have a 5-ingredient formula that will, there we go, that will ensure, oh, that's weird. It's only showing 4. I hope I don't have my old presentation. This would be one that's like way out of date because can you let me pause for just a moment? This is embarrassing. Oh man, let me see what happened here. I just want to make sure that yeah, everything is right. That is weird. Okay, so I'm going to go with it. I know you can, I'm standing up and I apologize for that. Wow, I am missing. Okay, well, I really don't know how this happened. I don't, because I exported the presentation and uploaded it on a different computer. Everything is there that I need. All right, sorry for my looking like I'm not prepared, but we will just go with it. So pretend that on my screen there are 5 things. The 4th well, I actually don't even know the order now. All right, I'll just roll with it because I know these 5 ingredients inside. I apologize for that. These 5 ingredients will ensure that you lay a solid foundation of search and that you get YouTube to promote you. All right, the leaf strategy is the first ingredient that we need to talk about, and I need to share my tree analogy. You understand this. So picture a tree. It's got a broad trunk that goes out to branches that goes out to leaves. Okay, the broad trunk represents your broad area of expertise, and the branches represent the different categories of your expertise. So if you've written a book, each chapter would represent the different categories that you have expertise in. And the leaves represent the very, very specific questions that people are asking that you're an expert at answering. Okay, so I need to give you some examples so you can really understand this. Say your core area of expertise was productivity. Okay, an example of a leaf would be, what can a business do to improve its productivity? Or here's a real specific one. What can increase productivity in a dental office? Or how employees with respect to increase productivity? Now, I didn't make up these words here, these leaf topics. You can't really do that. You can't make them up. In our mind, come up with ideas. We can easily come up with the trunk and the branch. You know, what's our core area of expertise? What areas do we have expertise in? But the leaves, you need a tool to do that because we actually need to know what questions people are asked to have consistent search volume every month. All right, and all of these do. So let me talk about one principle and then I'll come back to that slide. You have to do keyword research before you film. And I can hear, I apologize for singling you out, Mr. Rob Pennington. Would you mind muting your microphone? I could just hear the typing. Sorry about that. You have to do the keyword research before you film, and here's why. So I'll go back to that slide. Take the middle example. What can increase productivity in a dental office? Well, if let's say in the past, I filmed a video about increasing productivity. Good. Maybe I even enlisted Steven Spielberg, and he helped me make this amazing video on increasing productivity. If I then did keyword research, I found the title, How to Increase Productivity in a Dental Office. Well, I wouldn't be able to give my video that title because I didn't talk to a dental audience or a dental team, right? So you have to do the keyword research first so that you know exactly what you can talk about. And I'll give you even more examples of that, okay? So here's some examples with Mr. Paul Jink, stop siblings fighting all the time, or how to get kids to listen without yelling, how to motivate a lazy teenager. That's a fun topic. The goal is that we don't make videos on trunk or branch topics like ever the first couple of years, but we just make leaf after leaf after leaf after leaf after leaf. Eventually, we dominate YouTube for all of YouTube because we've got so many leaf topics out there. Now, I'll show you the tool, and then I'll share the point that just came to my mind. So there is the keyword magic tool. Let me just tell you a little story to tell you how much I love this tool. I used to use a tool called the Keyword Explorer. I used Answer the Public, which is fun. I used the AdWords keyword tool and a variety of others to like get ideas, expand my ideas, check for search volume. Oh, there's too little, come over here, get some more ideas, find some that are more questions instead of just statements. It took a lot of work. My strategy worked, but it was a lot of work and a lot of tools, and it was really hard for me to train other people how to do it. Well, then I was at Inbound in Boston. It was a big conference, 25,000 people, and there was an exhibitor there, SEMrush. So that's the website we're on right now, SEMrush. They had a booth, and I told them how I did keyword research, asked them if they had any new tools that could help me, and the guy smiled. This keyword magic tool was in beta, and so I got excited what he showed me at my hotel room that night. I tried out the demo and ended up loving it, and like it's been a game changer. So this has been 2.5 years now that I've had this tool that just makes it simple. I would estimate that what would have normally taken me 8 hours of work, I can accomplish in 1 hour. It is amazing. And I love efficiency. I love outsourcing. I've got 20 employees in the Philippines. Because of this tool, I used to have to outsource because I didn't have the time to do it all myself for me and my clients. So I had employees do keyword research. Well, now this tool makes it so simple, I can still do it. I can just do it really quickly. Let me demonstrate this tool for you. And by the way, I don't get any commissions from SEMrush. I don't do an affiliate thing. Maybe I should. Oh, and my computer froze on me again. We'll just be patient. I'm going to be patient. So the illustration that I'm going to give you is to show, there we go. Let's say you're an expert on, so that's the trunk of your tree. Okay, you just put that in the search bar, hit search, and then you'll notice there's this handy button called questions. That is part of the magic of this tool. So you always turn on the questions button, and then there's an advanced filter that I always turn on by default, and that's a word count. And I set my minimum word count to 8. So I'm looking for questions that are 8 words long or longer, okay? And that's my default. You can make adjustments from there. So that's what I do every time I do my search. I turn on the questions button and set the word count to 8. And then I just combed through the results. There are a lot of results, but I found that I thought would be great individual episodes. Move myself maybe down in the bottom corner for now. So, for example, there we go. How to deal with a life-changing injury, or how to use resistance to change, or how to change your life at 60 years old. This one I've got to move myself again. What are the primary components necessary for lasting cultural change? So that's a 10-word phrase. And I say that's mind-boggling to me is if you look to the right, there are 90 searches for that phrase every single month. So there are 90 people that go to Google and YouTube and type in that exact 10-word phrase, the exact spelling and everything. That's just crazy to me. But that's the gold. That's the gold of why I like such long phrases, is because it's so specific, and it's like you're creating that automatically has an audience. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that in a little bit for you, and I'll illustrate a little bit more. Now, talking about search volume, I especially in the first year of starting this strategy, there's a sweet spot of 10 to 100 searches per month. If you find a phrase that's got 1,600, that's a big volume, and that would be great for us to get that many views from search every month. But the challenge is everyone has access to this tool, and everyone is going after the competitive phrases. What I want for you is I want you to rank instantly. I don't want you to have to compete. So if you go after phrases that are 8 words or longer, that first step pretty much eliminates all, I'll say 99% of the competition. And you want to make sure that there's at least 10 searches per month. And you might think 10, that sounds too small, oh Nate, that sounds too small. Well, one, there's 2 points I want to make to that. That's 10 every single month. I mean, think about when you post something to Facebook, even one of your best posts, it gets way more views than your average. How many views does it get on day 2? All right, it goes down quite a lot. What about day 3? All right, it's really trickling off. What about a week later? Not getting any more views. What about a month later? What about a year later, right? Your posts don't get seen. Now, YouTube might say, hey, remember this post? You want to share it again? That's the only way that YouTube can make any type of content evergreen. It just fizzles out, right? These videos on YouTube, they're going to last for years and years and years. So even if you're only getting 10 searches per month, this is your target audience, and 10 new people are finding this episode every single month. But here's what happens, okay? Who goes to Google or YouTube, they type in this very specific phrase, your video pops up, and they think, oh, that's exactly what I was searching for. So of course, they click on it and watch it all the way to the end. So the YouTube algorithm sees that and is like, wow, let's find more people like these 10, because YouTube is long watch time. So that's all we're trying to do. We want to rank instantly and impress the YouTube algorithm. Obviously, we're impressing them because the right people are finding us. The people that have been searching for you, they're finding you, and we're impressing the algorithm at the same time. I'm going to talk about it from another perspective so that you can really see the power of this. Think about that video that I said Steven Spielberg. Let's say I filmed a video and Steven Spielberg produced it, but I didn't do keyword research with it. I can put that on my YouTube channel, and how are people going to know? I mean, it's an amazing video, but how's it going to be found? There has to be some type of marketing strategy. If I already have a large channel, well, now I've got an audience, right? I've got an audience, but what if I don't? Right? They don't have an audience, they don't have a platform, and so they either have to build platforms like through, I don't know, some network thing, or they have arrangements and contracts that'll put up movie posters, they'll put their stars on tour, and they put out trailers a year in advance to lead people up to the movie. They've got to put a lot of money to make sure that people see it. Well, if I put it on my YouTube channel, no one's going to see it. No one's going to see it unless some advertising. Well, none of the channels that I produce, none of the examples that you're going to see, I don't pay for traffic. I don't use ads to bring viewers. Okay. But what I do is I have built-in strategy into my video. Because I've done this I found the title and I make a video around that title, I have a built-in audience. So now my video has a marketing strategy. Just did this step. All right. Oh, we froze again. This is fun. So the next example I'm going to show you, I've actually got 2 more. One on, there we go. One on leadership and another one on podcasting. So let's say your core area of expertise is leadership. You turn on those same filters. Here's some examples. What's the difference between leadership and management? Or how leadership can influence the values of an organization? Or what should be included in a leadership development program? It's a pretty good question if you happen to sell a leadership development program. All right, I want to show you one more example that's something else pretty cool. So a year ago, right before the pandemic, I spoke at PodFest, a podcasters event. And the night before, I did this search, and just because I thought, let me give them an example that really relates to them. So I typed in podcast, I hit that questions button up there. I turned on that advanced filter of word count. So I turned the word count up to 8, and there were thousands of results. So over the next hour, I just combed through the list. And there are oftentimes phrases that are they're slightly different. Maybe two words are switched or a different word is used, but you look at it, you're like, well, those are pretty much the same question. I didn't want any duplicates. I didn't want any of the same topics. I wanted to comb through the list and pull out all the topics that I thought would be unique episodes. And in that hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, I found 114. So I just did one search. I typed in the word podcast, and I found 114 different ideas that I thought would be a great episode. The reason I love to show this is because this tool makes it so you never run out of content. You never run out of video ideas. And I know you can't see that on the screen because it's so small. So let me zoom in. Oh, and it's blurry the way that I've got it here. Sorry about that. What equipment do you need to start a podcast? Or how much money can you podcast? How to record a podcast with people in different locations. Or this one, if anyone knows the answer to this question, I haven't found anyone that could tell me how to make a podcast without a microphone. So I think you need a microphone. But anyway, there's a few more examples that I highlighted here. But the moral of the story is this tool is helpful. And so you never run out of content, and you make sure that every single episode is a marketing machine. You put it on YouTube and it's got a built-in audience. You just need a trickle of traffic to come in so that YouTube can see it. You'll impress the algorithm and it will start to suggest your content more and more. So that was the leaf strategy. All right, and now I'm intimidated by my slides here because I only see 4 and I've got 5 ingredients for you. So what's next? Okay, good. This is ingredient number 2, where it should be. You need your episodes to be 10 to 12 minutes in length. And by the way, ingredients 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to be able to cover a lot quicker. Ingredient number 1 is the most important. I've taught this strategy for years, and I've had a lot of people implement ingredients 2 through 5. They skip over or they take shortcuts with that leaf strategy. And they come to me even after doing this, and I see it and I'm like, how come we're not using the leaf strategy? Like, oh yeah. Because there's so much other information out there about SEO and other keyword tools, even TubeBuddy or vidIQ. They just get in the old-fashioned way of SEO. You've got to do exactly what I just showed, and it will work. That's the most important step. 10 to 12-minute episodes. Let's talk about length just for a minute, because some people say, well, wow, that question I could really answer in 1 minute. What am I going to talk about for 10 minutes? And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum. A lot of us in the NSA will say, well, wow, I could talk about that for an hour. I love to talk. So how do I limit that to 10? So I'll show you an example in a moment that kind of illustrates, one, how you can take a shorter topic and make it a little bit longer, and also how you can keep people's attention. But I also want to talk about kind of why not make it longer. 10 to 12 minutes is really the sweet spot on YouTube. YouTube likes watch time. The more watch time your videos get, the more YouTube will promote your videos. But we found that there's kind of diminishing return to pass 10, 12, 15 minutes. I've definitely, one of my best performing videos was a 20-minute video. But I've had one client of mine that really wanted to do tests. He really pushed the limit. He would start making 30 and 40 and 50-minute episodes, and we never saw any significant difference from those. Think of it this way: if you go to Netflix, and you're in that environment, you're expecting a specific type of content, a specific length, and so if you click on something and find out, oh, this is a Pixar short, it's only 5 minutes long, you're like, okay, let's watch it. But after that 5 minutes, you're not done with Netflix yet. Maybe that was just an appetizer. Now let's watch a full episode of one of our shows that we like, or we're going to watch a full-length movie, because that's the environment. We go to Netflix when we've got a longer amount of time. We're ready to sit down and just veg out, I guess. Well, what about Instagram? Could you put a 45-minute episode on Instagram and a 10-minute episode on Instagram? No one. That's not the environment. Or TikTok, right? TikTok, no one's going to watch the lengthy content like that. So every platform has an environment, and the environment on YouTube that works really well. And there's plenty of exceptions. we're talking about exceptions, or we're talking about a formula that if you follow, it will get your results. And by the way, I'm going to show you lots of examples of many channels that have followed this formula and the results that they've got. So that's the ingredient number 3. Oh no. Ingredient number 3 should be you need 50% average retention. Okay, and that means, oh, there we go, and it skipped ahead, so you saw the secret. If you have a 10-minute episode, you want, some people are going to watch it all the way to the end. Some people are going to think, oh, this isn't what I was looking for. You want an average of 50%. Average is around 1 minute. YouTube's not going to suggest that content more and more. They want a long average retention rate. So now here's the example that I said that I could share that will illustrate how to accomplish points 2 and 3. And I'm going to use a friend of mine's expertise, Dorman. She's a nutritionist and she teaches a lot of natural remedies. And we did keyword research and we found the title, How to Get Rid of Strep Throat Without Antibiotics. So that's a 9-word phrase. So I'm going to pretend that that's my expertise. Dorian taught this remedy to me years ago, so I have used it, but obviously I'm just pretending that this will be my video. And I'm going to first show you what not to do, okay? All right, we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics. There are 3 ingredients. You need some fresh garlic, you need some cayenne pepper, and you need some raw honey. It's all those things together and take that. It'll wipe out your strep throat. So now let's talk about this. Okay, so that was what not to do. Now I want to demonstrate a better approach, and let's see if you can see the difference. Okay, as we dive into of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, first we're going to be talking about why not antibiotics, and there might be some alternative or reasons why you might want to consider an alternative. Then we're going to be talking about 3 ingredients, and you probably have these in your kitchen. We'll be talking about how each one has natural antiviral properties and natural antibacterial properties. Then we're actually going to go into the kitchen. I'll show you how to make it, and we'll talk about dosage and whatnot. And then I'm going to wrap up this episode with a story of my son when he was really young. He had a high fever and he had strep throat, and we used this remedy, and he experienced a side effect that you're probably going to experience as well, and you'll want to know about it. So let's dive right in. All right, so did you see the difference? Like I've given that same example several times, and the feedback that I've received is, yeah, I'm ready to sit down for watch this episode. You've caught my attention, and that's the goal. And in the second example, I didn't say that it was honey, cayenne, and garlic. I just said that there were 3 ingredients, and my goal is to create curiosity. I'll let them know this is what's coming first, and then second, and then third, and then at the end there's something great that you want to stick around for. So that will help not just keep your content longer, but it will help create curiosity so people will stick around the whole time, okay? So that, and there's strategies like that you can implement to help integrate ingredients 2 and 3. All right, and we'll go to ingredient number 4, which is custom thumbnails, and my screen will catch up in a second. Well, when you open YouTube, there we go. When you open up YouTube, you see a whole menu of video options. Which one do I want to click on, right? And you see those still images. That's what YouTube calls a thumbnail. And by the way, I do see that questions have come in. I haven't been looking at any of them, but shortly I'll be taking a break to answer questions. But we'll at least have 2 significant breaks for Q&A. And then Kim, if you could help me moderate that would be great when we get to that. So let me show you some examples of custom thumbnails, because YouTube will take a random screenshot from your video. So many people are creating their own that are much more compelling, that those screenshots, the random screenshots that YouTube does automatically, they just don't work, and you're not going to get clicks. So you have to design a custom thumbnail to be able to get clicks. Now, let me move me over here. You can actually test this, and this is an advanced strategy that you don't need to implement now, but I just want to kind of use this to illustrate difference that things can make. And this software that I'm showing screenshots of here is called TubeBuddy. I don't use it for their keyword research, but I do use it for their A/B split testing. Okay, so that's Chris Krohn's face standing in front of a house, or at least we positioned him in front of a house. The top thumbnail is the original, the first one that we created, and it says, "How do you know for sure?" That was not the title of the video. The title and the text on the thumbnail do not need to repeat. They're always shown together. So if you just put your title on your thumbnail, so there's no, it's actually, your goal, you're going to use text on your thumbnail is to add to enhance, to create more curiosity. And to be blunt, a lot of these titles that we find through keyword research, they're not sensational headlines. They're not like magazine or newspaper, eye-catching, attention-grabbing titles. They're questions, right? So what we can do on the thumbnail is, like, look at the second one. Realtors never tell you this. I mean, that kind of evokes some curiosity. What is it that they're not telling me? I need to know. All right, so you can use words like that. And if I zoom out, oh, and it froze on me. But in a second, it will show us the different. There we go. So the original was 0.25% click-through rate. That means that's people that were presented that thumbnail and they clicked on it. And just by those words, it went up to 9.5. Another example to show you, and I really want to talk about the difference between multivariable testing versus single variable. And in the beginning, when you launch an episode on YouTube, you'll upload a thumbnail. Down the road, you can change it. You can upload a second thumbnail because YouTube will tell you what the click-through rate is. Even without using TubeBuddy software, just in the YouTube analytics, you'll be able to see what the click-through rate is. And if you notice, oh, that had a 2.6% click-through rate, which is lower than my average, I'm going to try another one, and you can just upload another one. So you can do these tests and on your own without this that does A/B testing. The advantage of A/B testing is the software will kind of show half the people one, half the people the other, and it kind of does it automatically, and it will tell you if the data is statistically significant. Now, if you want to learn from it and be able to say, oh, I know what made the difference. I changed it to blue, and blue works better. But look at this example from Paul Jenkins. There are so many differences. We changed the image of Paul, and his different position of his hands. The text is in a different position. It's a different color. The word teenagers went to white. The background's different. There's a young girl that's on the second one. Paul's Live on Purpose logo is in a different place, and it's a different color. So I don't know, 6 or 7 different variables there. The reason that this was a high-performing thumbnail. Oh, and I froze again. I really apologize. I don't know why it's doing it, but it'll catch up in a second. There we go, it's circled. So the original performed 8.26%, which is great, which is really above average for Paul. And so we didn't create another one just because we wanted to improve upon the 8, but because one of my designers had an idea, and it really worked. It got up to 10.3, which is very awesome. The next example I want to show you, though, we just changed one variable. And when you change a single variable, you can really learn what it is that made the difference. On this one, we really don't know what made the difference. We could probably guess. My guess is because there's an embarrassed girl on there, and that creates more curiosity. But in this one, and in Utah, there's this rivalry between Brigham Young University and University of Utah, blue and red. And you can clearly see that blue works a lot better than red in this example. All right, here's a thumbnail that we just added some icons. We added the YouTube and Facebook icons, and that increased the click-through rate from 3.2 up to 4.99. Here's one. We just changed some of the color in the background, and this is a really good click-through rate for me. It went from 12.7 up to 13.4. So just a little incremental change, but it's kind of fun that you can do tests like this. So that is, and that's crazy. I don't have ingredient number 5. I don't know how that got erased. Really, the way that anyway, the laptop I'm presenting from is my old MacBook 2013, and I can't update the OS so that I can put Keynote on it. I didn't know that this morning. So, so I'll just tell you, now that you know, you want to make sure that you're sitting down. It looks like most of you are sitting down because ingredient number 5 is a doozy. It's It's required if you want exponential growth. If you want gradual, consistent growth over time, you can actually get away with just using the first 4 ingredients. But ingredient number 5 is a doozy. And let's see what happens. What is the next slide here? Because it's like I've custom thumbnail. When I used to leave out custom thumbnails. So the fact that where am I? Oh, okay. I don't know. I really don't know how that happened because okay, you have to launch 5 episodes a week. Kind of took away the climactic announcement. Okay, that's a lot. That's why we need to sit down, because this is a lot of work, and to really get the results, I'm going to show you in a minute what results you get. That's a lot of work, and we're all busy. We've all got businesses that we run, and as entrepreneurs, we wear multiple hats. Plus, we have a personal family life, and we, work, contribute to a community. So how can we become a daily YouTuber, like, or a week daily? Well, we typically don't film on Saturday, but I can hear some clanking. We're at my studio house, and my team is getting set up to film my client today, and we're filming 20 episodes in a day. Yesterday, we had a client here filming 20. The day before that, and the day before that, I think 4 days this week that we've done filming. We filmed 20 episodes. It's efficient. It's a 9 to 5 day. It's a marathon. But that means we only have to film once every 4 weeks. So you just find strategies and that's what we've had to do in order to include all of these ingredients. So now I want to show you what the results are when you include all 5 ingredients. When my laptop decides to, there we go. What happens when you follow these 5 steps? Okay, so now I'll give you a few more details on the Chris Crone channel. For the first 2.5 years, we just launched 1 episode per week. And the strategy worked, but it grew gradually. Over the 2.5 years, we went from 0 to 12,000 subscribers. All right, so that's decent. It's not like exponential or crazy, because that took 2.5 years to get there. And then I'll show you on this screen. Oops. What we're looking at here, that is on the left side, you see April 10th, 2017. That is when we went to 5 episodes per week. I had learned this at a YouTube conference. Daryl Leaves taught me this. And, there's something magic if you go to 5 episodes or more per week after the 4-month mark. So I told Chris, we need to go to 5 episodes per week. Let's see what could happen. And Chris said, all right, let's try it. Let's do a 4-month test. And what you'll see in this example and the several examples I have to show you is that the first 4 months are pretty boring, especially when you consider the amount of work you're putting into this. You're launching 5 episodes a week, and yet it looks pretty flat. We don't see that much growth. As we got into the end of July or early August, you started to a little bit of growth. But then on the 4-month mark, boom, we had a spike. We had over 10,000 views in a single day. And then just a few weeks later, we had another spike. So that was the first one. It made the first spike look teeny because we had over 35,000 views in a single day. So that's when, what happens at that 4-month mark is, because you've laid a solid foundation of search by that point. And then at the 4-month mark, you start to get suggested traffic where YouTube starts to suggest your videos alongside other videos that they're watching on YouTube. Let me show you another example. All right, so Paul Jenkins, fellow member of our NSA, this is what his first 4 months looked like. He had a spike about a week early of following all 5 ingredients. And then that was the first spike. We had much bigger spikes later, and his channel's grown to over 200,000 subscribers. Another example here, and this one, let me give you a few other details because there's just some other things you might learn from this example. So John Cristani, he's an expert at affiliate marketing, and he's an expert at paid traffic. And he talks about his income all over the place on his channel and elsewhere. So I can tell you, in the year 2018, he made $6 million. And that's when I met him. I met him in the fall of 18. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was at a mastermind. And he told me about his channel and what he was trying to do. He had grown his channel to 65,000 subscribers with paid traffic. The problem was the channel was empty. There were no likes, there were no comments, there was no ad revenue, there was no lead generation. He had just paid to kind of inflate the channel to 65,000 subscribers, but it hadn't gotten him anything. And so I shared with him this strategy that you guys have learned, and he hired me to produce his channel. So for the entire year 2019, I produced his channel. And show you, oh, and it froze. So during the year, so again, he was at 65,000 at the beginning. By the end of the year, he was at $250,000. But more important than that, in fact, let me, before I actually go to that slide, maybe it'll freeze on me, so I might as well stick there. But this is what his first 4 months looked like. I guess I'll just reference this now. And you see that he had a couple bumps, and he did have a spike at that 4 month mark. But I don't have a screen. I don't produce his channel anymore. After that year, I turned it back over to. He's been continuing it, using my strategy or this strategy that you've learned, and so he's doing really well. So in the year 2019, he grew it from 65 to 250. But what else changed? Because it was an empty channel. Well, he had tons of likes and dislikes. He had lots of comments. He had ad revenue. You see on the screen there, in the first 4 months, he had about $4,000 in ad revenue. Well, by December, just that month, and $18,000 just in ad revenue, and that's just the icing on the cake. This had become a lead generation machine for his business. Anyway, so there's some more details with his example. Another one, when I get to it, show you, and I'll show you what his first 4 months look like. There we go. That's what his first 4 months looked like, and he had a spike. I want to finish up with one more example, Noel Randall, and this is a super fun one. This one is happening in real time today, and boy, this screenshot is old. It wasn't that long ago, actually, just a handful of months ago in the fall that I took the screenshot. She's over 250,000 subscribers now. So here's her story. She teaches Airbnb real estate investing. She's in Orlando. And for a couple of years, she had worked to build her YouTube channel, and she started to do reasonably well. It was not a lead generator, but when I say reasonably well, she grew it to 6,500 subscribers, but it was not generating leads. And she just felt that there was more potential. She found me. And at the beginning of this, actually, we're in 2021 now. 2020 is when she hired me to produce her channel. So we start, ingredients. So we included all 5 ingredients, launching 5 episodes a week, starting on, and I don't know why it freezes on me, but starting on January 21st of 2020. So just over a year ago. There we go. So that left arrow. I don't know if we filmed right at the beginning of January or the mid-December or something like that, but when we launched with 5 episodes a week was on January 21st, and you see 4 months between the 2 red arrows. There's not a whole lot of excitement going on. What you don't see is that the channel actually did start to generate leads. Noelle, an interview with her, there's an episode on my YouTube channel that I put there recently where she shared, even in the beginning, after just the first month or 2, this really started to generate leads for the business. When we got to the 4 month mark, she was really pleased about the leads and the revenue it was generating. And we were talking, all right, are we going to have a spike? And we didn't have a spike, but what's in, like, each bump you see is a week, because she gets more views on weekdays, weekends. And so right after that arrow, you see that the bump is the biggest that we had ever had, the biggest week. But then the week after that, was a bigger week. We crossed 2,000 views in a day. We'd never done it before. And then we, kept growing week after week. We crossed 3,000 views. We crossed 4,000 views. By the end of July, we had crossed 5,000 views in a single day. And so Noelle and I were talking, and she was just ecstatic. She's like, yeah, we didn't have a spike. Typically, when you do have a spike, it spikes for time and then it comes back down to a higher average. So you have a new baseline. And so we've kind of, without the spike, kind of got that new average. And she was just ecstatic about it, to think that, wow, we're already up to 5 a day. She was having to expand her team because of all the leads that she was getting. And we had no idea what was coming, like just a few days later. When we hit August, boom, that was where we had 5,000, what I'm circling there. We got up to over 20,000 views a day. And in fact, I'll show you one more screenshot. This shows the whole thing up. This shows the full year from January 21 to January 21 of this year. We never settled down from the spike, and the channel has grown to over 250,000 subscribers. Some things that I can share, I can talk about ad revenue. You see the estimated in that time range. Ad revenue is not our focus, not at all. And yet 138 or 39,000 is a pretty significant bonus. Just January, 43,000 in ad revenue. So that's a pretty nice icing on the cake. And she's also shared some additional things. She is bringing in between 4,000 and 5,000 every month for her business. When she first, like November-ish, she was telling me that, yeah, I'm having on my team, I've got a 4-month waiting list. Anyway, it's become a huge lead generator as she's following these 5 ingredients. And this is the point where I'll just switch over to this, because I am ready to take a break for some Q&A, especially questions about these 5 ingredients, the lead strategy, anything else. So let's go. What questions have you found for me?
So the first one is what kind of, what brand is your DSLR and your switcher?
Oh, so my DSLR is Canon, and my switcher, I got an A10 Mini, and those seem to be working great. The challenge that I'm having is I couldn't, it wouldn't work to take the keynote presentation from my newer MacBook that I'm using Zoom on and feed my keynote into the A10 Mini switcher. So I hooked up my older laptop, and it's just freezing I don't know. And I couldn't even update keynote on it to use Google Slides. Anyway, but yeah, I'm using a DSLR Canon 90D with a nice wide aperture lens that can blur the background.
So the next question, it's about the keyword magic tool. So Bob says it's at least $119 a month. Is there a free tool you would recommend we start with, or one that provides the word count filter that you recommend?
Very good question. So, and I didn't even know it went up. I think I pay $100 a month for it. They have a free trial, but people have reported back that the free trial is pretty weak. Like after just a search or 2 or 3, it stops and says, okay, now you need to pay. However, the tool is so good that within a few hours, you can get all the results that you need and you can cancel. So that's actually what I recommend people do. It's totally worth that first $100, or if it's $119, totally worth it. Use it, over the next several days, and then cancel it before that, the next billing comes around the next month. Also, you can share it. So if a couple of you want to go in on it together, one person uses it, shares the logins, the other person uses it. I have no problem with that. And then, cancel it if you're not going to be using it. Because, I showed you with that podcast example, in a little bit over an hour, I found 114 different episode ideas. So you'll be able to find hundreds and hundreds around your expertise. So that's a great question, and that's the workaround. It's just cancel it after a month.
I wondered that. Okay, next question. Does it matter if someone watches your video with speed controller, or just say they watch the whole thing?
Good question. I use it all the time. Videos that, like one thing that's my favorite is you can hit the forward key and skip ahead 5 seconds. And sometimes I go forward. Okay, now I'm ready. Or like sometimes when it's just a talking head, I'll speed it up, to 1.5 times, sometimes even 2 times. I don't think that there's any disadvantage to that. I don't think you need to worry about that. And there's an interesting thing that's kind of bringing another topic, but also answer that question. So there's a new feature on YouTube. The feature of chapters is what I'm referring to. It's been around for a little while. Let me just answer a few things here. Okay, so there's this, if in your description, you put in timestamps with like little titles, so you can go 00:00 space summary. That's just or you put the title of your video. As long as you have that first comment with the 00:00 timestamp, that will turn on chapters on your video. So then let's say in 15 seconds, that's when you introduce principle 1. So you type in, 01:15 space, and then a few words to give that chapter. All right, so timestamps and chapters are pretty cool. And on the screen, you've got your progress bar that goes across the bottom, and you can hover with your mouse, and you can actually see the different chapters and the different titles. And people have done experiments, and they found that by putting chapters in there, even though it allows people to skip around, that it's actually increased the watch time. Maybe if they're like, I don't know if this video has what I'm looking for, let's just leave. But now they can actually look ahead and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to just skip to the part that's really relevant to me. Anyway, so yeah, I've never worried about that. If you just do your best to make your content engaging, follow the strategy I shared earlier with my getting rid of strep throat without antibiotics example, as well as if you film a video and you've got 15 minutes of content, you've got a lot of pauses or ums and uhs in there, maybe you repeated something, just tighten it up, trim out those things, and that'll keep people's attention, and use strategies like that.
Okay, second part of this question, she says, I'm posting my Zoom replays. Looks like they're about 90 minutes, and people want to watch the replay. Obviously, not what you're talking about, but will that activity help my YouTube rating overall?
If you've got an audience, because if you started a brand new channel today, no subscribers, no one knew about your channel, and you put a 90-minute video there, it's going to sit there with 0 views. A month will go by, 0 views, because it doesn't have a way of bringing in an audience. But if you already have, let's say you've got 100,000 subscribers, and you put that there are going to be some people that will watch it. And you have to test it. You have to put it on your channel and see what it does. Here's an example that kind of illustrates that. So in most cases, when people have a podcast, then they'll repurpose it and put the video of it on YouTube. In most cases, that's a bit if you're implementing my strategy, because if you have these very strategic videos and YouTube, we're kind of training the YouTube algorithm, but then we put in something that's different, it can kind of, what's the word I'm looking, it can kind of sabotage the strategy. So in most cases, I tell my clients, it's either keep the podcast videos unlisted and you can email them to people, or create a second channel. However, one of my clients, Christy, her podcast is one of the most popular in her space. And when you look to her YouTube channel, her podcast episodes, which are 40 minutes, 45 minutes typically, if I'm remembering right, her episodes are actually some of the better performing episodes on her channel. And so as we were discussing this just a few weeks ago, we're like, you know what, in your case, let's do 5 episodes, but right in the middle of the week, I think Wednesday's the day we chose, we're going to skip Wednesday, put the podcast episode, and we're actually going to be launching these episodes a week. So it really just depends. And as we monitor it over time, if we see that the podcast episodes start to not perform as well compared to the others, we'll just make adjustments.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I do a sports show, and I'm streaming it because I do a lot of live streaming. I do it live on YouTube. So you're saying I probably shouldn't do it live on YouTube and maybe pull out segments of it, because I don't have as much, it's not really growing on my YouTube side, and just use my YouTube for the other videos?
So I've had this conversation a lot, and like the way that you're probably doing it now, it probably won't be a fit with this strategy, but maybe let's talk about how could we, right? So if we did keyword research first, and let's say our podcast is going to be 50 minutes, What if we found 4 or 5 different questions, right? We do keyword research. We found 4 or 5 different questions. And for the first quarter of the podcast episode, we answer question number 1. And then, so we say, all right, now we're going to answer the. So you kind of you still have to follow the strategy in order for this to work on your YouTube channel. And, you could take that podcast episode and divide it into 4 different segments. So that's kind of one workaround. But yeah, the real challenge is trying to do that keyword research and have it apply to that podcast episode. But you can experiment and try different things with that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Clarify something just for a moment?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Nate, the replay that I was talking about is behind a wall for my members only. So I'm not expecting someone out in the general public to watch it.
That won't affect your channel.
But will it add to my numbers of hours watched? That'll be a positive from my total hours. But
it will add to your number of viewers watched. It's obviously a valuable strategy to nurture your existing audience. As far as that, I really don't think that it's going to. Here's a big stat that YouTube looks at, and by the YouTube analytics is amazing. Like the next platform that has good analytics, I would say LinkedIn. It's only got a little bit. I mean, they have their social selling index. You can look at your score in 5 different areas. It's really, really hard to get stats, but in YouTube, there's just page after page after page, and you can drill it down. You can compare 2 episodes to each other and say, okay, this one had a high rate. Why is it? Or this one had, you can look at one video and notice, how come everyone is leaving at 6 minutes and 20 seconds? Tell you right when people leave. So YouTube analytics is amazing. All right, now, what was like, okay, I just had to get my idea back. So when you first go to YouTube, right on the dashboard, the first thing that you see is it shows you your list video compared to the previous 9. So there's always this rolling 10 episodes. And if you put out an episode, it lets you know how it ranks in views compared to, it tells you 3 stats: views, watch time, and how come I can't think of the other one? Is it click-through rate, or I can't remember, because I mostly pay attention to views just to see if it's done better. So if you launch a video and you see, ooh, this is a better performer than the previous 9, that's kind of the goal. If each video gets better and better, YouTube start promoting you more and more. Like, that's one of the key indicators to the algorithm. So if on the flip side, you launch another video that, so let's say it's a podcast episode that doesn't do as well on your channel, then the videos that come after that will be influenced by how many people it suggests. It's kind of a complicated thing. YouTube takes care of all of this, but you can really study the analytics a lot. So the reason I brought this up for your question of what if you leave it as private or unlisted, so well for the public, well, those videos aren't taken into account definitely to that stat of your last 10 if unlisted videos or private videos don't show up there. So I really don't think that it impacts, because what we're really hoping to do is impress the YouTube algorithm so that YouTube will suggest our content to new audiences, people who've never been to our channel before. But your private videos, that's never going to happen because it can't, not indexed. So.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here's the next question. I like the tree strategy, but can you walk us through another example of what would be a trunk, branch, leaf question for a particular core area of expertise? Not sure I can clearly differentiate those effectively to focus on keyword strategy questions.
All right, so who asked that question, Kim?
That's Jill.
So Jill, what's your core area of expertise?
Leadership
Jill?
development. For example.
Okay, so leadership or leadership development would definitely be your trunk. Okay. And this is a good question because you can have multiple trees on your channel.
Okay.
And let's say leadership was a trunk and leadership development might be a branch, or leadership skills, or
coaching.
It's really if you're coaching, definitely all different areas like HR or management versus leadership. So there's
all of those are the branches that you just talked about.
Exactly. And the purpose of the analogy is not really to worry about is this a trunk, or is this a branch, or is this a limb? You know, maybe I've got limbs on my tree. That's not the focus. The focus is really to make sure that we know what the leaves are. And the leaves are the very, very specific questions. And so that's really the question, is like, is this a leaf? Is it not? If it's not a leaf, then it's a trunk or a branch or something. It might be on a different tree.
Okay.
Now, another point that your question brings up, that I quickly mentioned, you can have multiple trees. Every episode that you want needs to be a leaf, but you can have a leaf from tree A, a leaf from tree B, a leaf from tree C, you know, kind of have a good rotation. Paul Jenkins, I mentioned, he's a positivity psychologist. He talks a lot about, you know, being about relationships and marriage, and he talks a lot about parenting. So those are, I would say, 3 different trees. But all of the videos that we've made have all been leaf topics.
That's great. Thank you. That helps.
Hey,
Yeah, you're welcome.
how big a role does the tags and the hashtags within the video description play?
Very good question. Very good question. So the tags basically have no impact anymore. I still use them. I'll put the title in the tag field, the keyword tag field. I'll also put in there like my name, because typically I don't mention my name in a lot of my videos. So I'll tag it Nate Woodbury, just so if people are searching for Nate Woodbury, they should be able to find my channel. You can leave the keyword tag blank, and your videos will still work with this strategy. And here's why. One, title of the video is our leaf topic, right? But here's another big reason. YouTube automatically transcribes every video. And so it's got paragraphs and paragraphs. You know, a 10-minute episode, there's a lot of words. And so YouTube knows exactly what your video is about. And if you do the keyword research first and you title your video that title, YouTube knows, all right, well, we know right off the bat what this video should rank for. And it finds all the similar words and phrases and topics that relate to that main title. So that's the biggest way. Now, you mentioned tags, which is it's a kind of a newer thing just in the last year or two, and it's started to be used in different ways. If you put hashtags in your description, you can actually do it in your title. I haven't really thought of a reason why doing that, but if you put a hashtag in your title, or up to 3 hashtags in your description, they all turn into links. So when you go to YouTube, you'll see the video, you'll see the title below it, and then you'll see these 3 little links that are the hashtags that are actually clickable. So you can use it as a way of grouping videos together, or if there is a popular hashtag out there on YouTube and you want your video to kind of be associated with those videos, you can use that same hashtag. It's a way of being strategic, kind of like creating a playlist. A playlist is another thing on YouTube where if you've got videos that you want to group together, it's a way of sending, it also sends a signal to the algorithm. Like, hey, this video, I'm using this specific hashtag, and this same hashtag I'm using on this video. So these 2 videos are related, YouTube. Maybe after people watch this one, you should suggest this one. And you can put those 2 videos in a playlist, is sending another signal to the algorithm. What a playlist does is people can see all the videos in a row, you know, and so they can watch them in sequence. So yeah, you can be strategic with hashtags, and if you put more than 3, it won't impact anything. It only does the first 3.
Okay, we'll take 3 more questions and then we're gonna take a break so Nate can like wet his whistle. And so after the 5 episodes, the first 5 episodes in a week, do you recommend a daily cadence? That's Elena. I don't.
Yeah. So, and how long do you need to keep going at 5 episodes a week? I showed you, you know, what happens for the first 4 months, and it's pretty boring, and then you start to get growth. I recommend you do it for at least a year. Now, let's talk about like when if you've my ideal client. I'll just say it this way, and I'm not saying this is a sales pitch, but to kind of really paint the picture. My ideal client is a business who has already crossed 7 figures in their business. The reason being is there are 3 areas that I look at in a business. There's traffic and where leads come from, sales and conversion, and then there's fulfillment. And if a business has all 3 in place and they've gotten it to a point where they're generating 7 figures, then if they implement this 5G, they're really going to crank up the traffic, and they know how to handle it. So the potential here is you can easily generate an additional 70. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to create that much content, but it's a huge reward. 7 figures within 12 to 18 months is typically what I expect. So I recommend at least 12 months. And if you can, I would go a couple years. Go as long as you can, but there will be a point where you've got enough momentum that you could put a video on your channel that didn't have a leaf title, but it would just get views because you've already got an audience, you've already got momentum. You can really create, you can start to implement other strategies at that point.
Okay. If you are a solo business person, would you recommend recording like 2 days a month, which would be 10 each? Because without a team, it seems like the challenge to do 20, in a single day with all of the editing and stuff that goes along with it.
Yeah, you're totally right. This is a lot of work, and so you've got to find what works for you. Editing is actually going to take a lot of time as well. Now, I'm not going to take time here because it could be a whole nother training. But I love hiring people specifically. The reason why is because you can hire somebody really skilled, really loyal, that's really in need of work, and you can hire them for $450 a month and have it be a huge blessing for them. So I bring that up because imagine having somebody full-time. One of their jobs for you could be they would be your editor. Editing really takes a lot of time. Even if you get really efficient and you 20 episodes in a day, now you've got to edit. And so you've got to look at strategies like that, and you've got to start where you're at. I mean, even if to get the ball rolling, you start with 1 episode a week, just start, but I would still, like, even when I was doing 1 episode a week with Chris Crone, this is going back 6 years ago when we started, we still filmed 10 episodes at a time, and then that lasted us 10 weeks, right? And then when we're like, okay, now we're going to do 5 episodes a week, how are we going to do this? Yeah, we went up to 20. We could do that in a 9 to 5 day, and then that would last us. We just had to do it every 4 weeks. So find ways that work for you. And with editing, keep your edits simple. Don't try and add all the crazy transitions or text effects that will make you look amateur anyway. Just keep it simple, and just be yourself. Don't worry about jump cuts. Jump cuts are acceptable on YouTube. That'll cut down your editing time as well.
All right, one more question before we take a break, and then we'll have more questions later. Does it still work to put a tag in the video so that other of my videos with that tag come up as options when that video stops playing, or is there a better way to keep the viewer to your videos?
So I don't know what you mean by putting a tag in a video.
Rob?
Maybe they could clarify. Looks like it's Rob.
Yeah,
Penny.
no, not in a video, but in the place where you put the keywords and tags.
So you're wondering, go ahead and
Yeah,
just rephrase
because what I do is I have I guess it's called a tag or a keyword that I put in there. I put it in every video so that when, within a certain topic area. So when someone quits, the next videos that show up are the other ones that are within that collection of topic videos.
So for that, trying to accomplish, I think a better way would be to use a playlist to group those similar videos together. Just add them all to a playlist. You can create as
I
many
have the
of them as you
playlist,
want.
but how do I make sure that when someone sees the video, it pops to one of the others in the playlist?
The other side comment, and then I'll directly answer your question. The other
Okay.
side comment is you can use the hashtags to try and group them together.
Yeah.
But the real way is tags will not do it. The real
Okay.
way to do it is to talk about the same things that relates. YouTube is it's becoming more and more of this artificial intelligence that is going to
Okay.
predict what will this viewer want to watch next. So if this group of videos are closely related, then it will naturally want to, and it will test it. It will have people that watch video 1, and then it sends it to video 2 next, and it will see, was that a good match? Did they stick around? And if it did, it will continue to do that.
So that's
really
taking over the control from me as a producer of content.
Yeah, and the reason the way that you worded it, it's like I think it's better for us, because as viewers on YouTube or consumers, YouTube is getting better and better at making our user experience what we want. It's getting better at predicting what we want to watch. What a lot of people were doing was, and this happened with website SEO, as well, people put in spam things. It's like, oh, anytime somebody types in the name Will Smith, I want them to bring up my video. Or that was just a weird example. That's the one I thought of. But yeah, so instead of really controlling, like, we don't get to control the user experience. Our job is just to impress YouTube algorithm. So when somebody comes and watches it, it likes it, and so we can really take advantage of search. That's a great thing, because all of us are experts and we have expertise. People are searching. We can really leverage that search, and we have guaranteed traffic. We have a guaranteed audience, and so we just do leaf after leaf after leaf, and we start building this kind of snowball that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then some of them will really impress the YouTube algorithm, and we'll start to get that exponential growth with suggested traffic. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more clarity. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Nate. Hey, guys, we're going to take a short break. Nate, what do you want to do? 15 minutes? Is that good for you?
Yeah. Tell me what the rest of the time frame of the meeting looks like.
So it's more of you. We can do more questions if you have more of your presentation, some additional nuggets you want to share, and then we'll do more Q&A.
Yeah. So I definitely have more content. When do you guys typically wrap up?
About 11:50. So So if we break now and we come back at say 10:45 or 10:50, then we have another hour.
Perfect. So yeah, we'll take that 15-minute break. We'll come in with more content, and we'll save some time for Q&A at the end of that.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys at 10:48. All right. Well, hang on a second, guys. Let's because we have a limited amount of time. We want to honor Nate's time and make sure we get through some other great stuff. Also, I'm going to tell you that Nate has generously offered to donate to an auction that we'll do at the end. So be wrapping your mind around that. He is going to donate. He usually donates them in 4-hour blocks, and his consulting is $1,000 an hour. And so he's going to donate whatever we get in the auction, 100% to NSA Houston. So we will auction that off at the end of today's session. So I want to turn it back over to Nate, say thank you. The first part was great, and we look forward to what you have next. Is 10:48, and we will go until you're ready to stop and do Q&A, so that then we also have time at the end to do the auction.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, very cool. Yeah, just about that. I don't do a whole lot of hourly consulting, but when I do, that's what I charge, $1,000 per hour. But I'm excited to just donate an hour to you guys to auction off, and so it'll be talking YouTube and any other thing that you want to pick my brain about. I'm happy to consult on that. All right, so what I thought that we could actually do, because I do have some more content, another strategy, just to like once you get past that 4-month mark and you start to get some of that exponential growth, there's some strategies that you can do to kind of keep that growth going, and I'll show you that strategy. But I thought we could actually do some keyword research together. And Kim, if you can help me kind of maybe help pick a couple people, if we want to do raise of hands, if you want to pick, and what we'll do is I'll share mine, and let's see, and then we'll actually bring up that outward. No, I don't want to share that. That's the wrong thing. I just got to share Chrome. Go ahead. Let me know who you think we should use, Kim. There it is. So you see, I'm just bringing up my SEM Rush account.
And you do use QuickBooks small edition.
Yeah, QuickBooks. I don't use I used to use QuickBooks a lot more, and now I just use it for their invoicing.
Recognize the screen.
Yeah. All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll bring up, you go to the keyword. You see they have a lot of tools here. I'm just going to go to the keyword magic tool. And so this is, you can see I recently did some stuff for a book writing client of mine. So who do we have, Kim? I saw several people raise their hands. I think you're muted. You must be muted, Kim.
Kim, you're muted.
Oh.
You muted yourself again.
Okay. There we go. Ed.
Okay. Thank you. Nate, first of all, let me say that it's been an amazing workshop. I really appreciate you being here. June of 2019 is when we first met, and I thought you were fabulous then. I said to myself that was something I was going to implement into my business after I saw your session in June. And then unfortunately at Influence, you get about 1,000 ideas. And that was one I put on the burners for later and just didn't go to it. So enough of that. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah.
My question.
So just to make sure, you can see my keyword magic tool, right?
I can.
Okay,
now this,
perfect.
yeah. So this is that tool that's $119 a month, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's your core area of expertise?
I do rainmaking primarily, but the words that I would want you to look up is business development, or sales, wherever you feel that would.
Yeah. So yeah, we could take a quick look. So remember, I come in here and I always turn on questions. All right. And so now we still got 3,400 questions, but we want long questions. So I'll put in that word count up to 8. All right. So how many words is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How can trust be gained between the business and development? It's kind of a weird way that's phrased. I wonder, sometimes I'm curious when you find a weird phrase and when it has consistent search volume, like, is that a question on a test that students are typing in or copying in? How much does a business development manager make? Or what's the, so as you comb through this list, some of them aren't going to relate to you at all, but some are going to be a perfect fit. So tell me which ones that you see, and I'll show you how you can use this tool.
Let's go down to, it's about the 8th one down. What are the top 3 skills for a business development executive? And I would probably
so you can
agree with a bonus.
Perfect. So you could just check the ones that you like. Let's scroll down. Let's find another one that would be good fit for you.
How to develop sustainable business in a VUCA environment.
Very cool. I don't know what VUCA is, but obviously it's really specific, and there's 70 people searching every month for that. So let's find another one.
Okay. How to create a business. Now that's a business for Apple. How to expand your business through new market development. That's a good one.
All right. So right now I've got 3 selected, and you'd continue down this list. At the bottom of the page, we're down into the 10s. We still have a lot. Then you could go to the next page, and you'll see that there's still more. You keep going until you get down to phrases that have 0. So I'll go to the next page. Okay, so right there, now we get down to 0. There's searches for these phrases, but it's some number less than 10.
Okay.
So, and that's typically where I cut it off. If you were to pick an occasional phrase down here, that would be fine. But my default recommendation is find phrases that range between 10 and 100. So once you got all the ones checked that you really like, that are, you know, good, unique episodes, you come over here to this export button. And it's funny, I was filming an episode recently, and I was doing this keyword research in the episode, and I kept saying export so much that I'm like, export. I couldn't remember how to say the word anymore. Anyway, however you say, it's export, right? You just, you know, it says we've got 3 selected, and you can download it. You know, so it just downloads the spreadsheet file. So when I open that file, it clearly, you know, just opens up in numbers on my Mac. All I'm interested in these phrases, and I love to use Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets. So I would just copy that. Now it's in my clipboard. I'd go over to my Google Docs spreadsheet and just paste it in there, and then I do more searching, and I paste those in there and keep them all kind of in one place. So yeah, all right. Lee said business sales, or let's see, maybe like sales training, or
let's try one that's going to be a very narrow one, and that's rainmaking. Cool.
So rainmaking, what is rainmaking?
Rainmaking is business development for professional service firms or accounting, lawyers, engineers, architects, etc.
All right. So what we see here is it's changing rainmaking to rainmaker, and that's what people are searching for. You can go to exact match to really have it match exactly what I put in there. When rainmaking, what do you shoot the iode out from? So that's not a phrase.
That was why I went with business development, because it has a broader range.
Now, keep in mind, I have this advanced filter turned on of 8 words.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn that off. A story of rainmaking. Is rainmaking dance reel? What is a rainmaking relationship? So, you know, but these still all have search volume of 0.
Yeah.
I go back to broad. So sometimes it's like, if it's, you know, not what people are searching for, then you've got to, you know, figure out what it is that people are searching. Yeah. What words are they using? And then when you start the episode, it's like, yeah, and a lot of people call this rainmaking, or, you know, you may, I don't know. So you can include that in your video all you want, but we wouldn't want to use that in the title.
Can I do one follow-up question, Nate?
Yep. And
that is, I love your whole concept. As a matter of fact, we've got a videographer on the Zoom. Is it better to have a videographer, or is this something that you can do in the Zoom episodes? I think it was Robin was sharing that she does her various programs on Zoom and shares that. But can I specifically say, okay, here's a subject matter. I'm going to knock out this question in 10 to 15 minutes. And use that as part of my posting onto YouTube. Long question,
yeah,
but I think
you want to start where you're at. You know, and so if you're obviously on Zoom, and you want to make sure, instead of looking at the screen, like right now I'm looking at you, but right now I'm looking up at my camera, you know, so there's a big difference. You want to make eye contact. So look at the web camera, look at the camera lens. And a lot of times when we're on Zoom, like your background is actually pretty good. A lot of times we have the computer down on our desk and there's no lighting on that wall. And so we're dark. So, I mean, those are the concerns with a webcam, but technology wise, there's no problem with that. You know, people say, what's the best camera for YouTube? And I pull out my phone and say, well, you've got one in your pocket or your purse right now. Okay. You know, the reason that I film my YouTube channels on is so I can blur the background. Okay. That's why, you know, you have to have a DSLR to be able to do that. Get really close, it even blurs more. I just love that effect. You know, I can come back here and it's just, that's the only reason, real. I mean, I guess there's other reasons. I can interchange the lenses and stuff, but you don't need that to succeed on YouTube, right? What people are looking for on your videos and on your channel is they want the answer to their question from an authentic person. So, like, here's another example. If you were to film on green screen versus, you know, and even if you use Zoom green screen and put a fake background behind you, or a real professional like newscaster background, compare that to you just filming in your home. People will relate to you more if you're filming in your home. So that's why this studio house that I have here, it's not, you know, we film with a kitchen in the background and a living room in the background, and you know, a home office, and so that will just really helps people relate. And another topic that this relates to is, and I'll tie it in. It relates to, like, what do you name your channel? Do you name it your business name? Do you name it your own name? Well, if we put those two options on a spectrum, we've got a business name, kind of the corporate side of things, and then your own name on the other side. I want to lean as far this way as possible, because you want to build a relationship. You want people to think, ooh, this is a person I follow.
So you want more your name than your corporate name?
Yeah, yep. Because if people, the first thing that they see is a real corporate looking logo. I mean, a lot of us have our names as our logo, right? So that's not really a problem. But if it's, you know, if they go and they see IBM or something, it's like, oh, okay, this is just a big corporation. They're going to sell me something. Not in every case, but the more that we can relate to them, and on that spectrum, there's a middle ground. It could be a cause or a movement or a topic. Okay. You know, so think big. I see that logo behind you. That doesn't sound too corporate. So that would be something that would kind of be in the middle, versus, you know, Big Thinkers LLC. You know, that sounds more corporate. Okay. But yeah, back to your question on Zoom. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So thank you kindly.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's do another example, Kim. We could do some more keyword research for another chapter member. Any volunteers?
I see, I got you, Robin. Hang on. I see Robin.
All right, Robin, is your core area of expertise?
Mindset.
Ooh, I like that. So let me come back. There it is. Is the text on my screen as you see it, is it big enough, or should I enlarge?
I can read it.
If you could enlarge a little, but if not, we can lean in and see it.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, if you have to lean in, let's see.
That could be just me.
I can do the Command Plus thing. All right, so I zoomed in a couple of times
good.
there.
Thank you.
All right, so I haven't hit search yet. Let me hit search.
We don't have the filter, the 8-word filter.
Right, so we've still got questions turned on, but we haven't got the word count. It means you're paying attention that you notice that, so good job. All right, so we've got, because I zoomed in, they're wrapped around, but we've got some nice questions here. What do students with a growth mindset, how do they see their mistakes? What does it mean to have a growth mindset? So let's go through and kind of pick ones that really apply to you.
Why it's important to have a growth mindset, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have a fixed mindset? How I can change my mindset and behavior.
Ooh, where did that one go?
It's down near the bottom on my screen.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
And how to get out of a negative mindset.
Yeah. So you guys catching on here? There's a lot for this one.
Okay. Well, my first week. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, see how easy this tool is. So that's when I say you've got to do keyword research. It's like, this isn't the funnest task, but it really is simple. And once you get into it, it's actually pretty fun, because you're like, oh, there's an idea I didn't think of. Oh, there's another one I didn't think of. And I want to talk about these ones up here, because even though, I mean, this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's a 10-word phrase. It's got 590 searches per month. Something that I always like to do is I just copied that, put it in my clipboard, and now I'm going to bring up YouTube. Yep, I'm signed into my own channel. So then I'm pasting that whole title in the search bar on YouTube there, and I'll hit search.
Oh, you see.
And I want to see how many videos use that same title. And there is one. There's one that, and it's interesting. It's only got 10 views. So I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe the thumbnail, maybe it looks amateur. Let's go look at this channel. I always like to dig. Wow, that's interesting. It's a big channel, but their videos don't get very many views. And let's look at this.
I need you, Nate.
Okay, so I don't think you could hear the audio as I played that, but there's obviously it's not a talking head video. It's kind of like a person. So that probably hasn't performed well, at least that video that we're looking at here that's only got 10 views. That's really sad. It's really sad that they only have 10 views, but they do have a good title there. But I would say, looking at this, that would be a great title for you if that's a good, if it matches what you want to talk about. But even though it had a higher number, right, it had the 590 per month there, with those ones, that's what I want to say. Just what's the competition look like? And looking at this first one, even though they have that exact title, it's like, the video is not performing well. You could compete. You can compete with that one. And then all the other ones are, on the same tree, but they haven't really focused on that phrase.
Interesting.
All right. So yeah, anything else you want to look at while we're here? Like let's actually try narrowing it down. Like let's add in another word. If we were to narrow down mindset, what's another word we could add in there?
Sales.
Ooh, mindset and sales. I like that. So that should narrow it down quite a lot. Okay, so in this case, we found that's a good phrase. It's got 0. And if that's all we find, I would still recommend, make one video like that. But what I'll do is I'll come in here to advanced filters and let's turn the word count down to 7 and just see. Does that add any more? Okay, not above 0. What if we just turn it off? This actually surprises me. We're still on broad match. I just have to make sure because sometimes so having the right sales mindset and people aren't searching for that. That's actually pretty telling, isn't it?
Fascinating. Wow, what does that mean? Super interesting.
Yeah, what does that? I mean, there are people searching for it, but it's just not a very large amount. So there are obviously people that are looking to improve their sales. So the answer that you're going to give them a lot is about their mindset. But what we might need to do instead is like how to increase sales, right? Yeah. And so we'll turn on the advanced filter again.
Because I wonder if that mindset word is very academic versus, I mean, I know it's being used a lot, but I wonder if the search seemed more academic, like growth mindset and fixed mindset versus how do I use it for sales? So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody that's struggling with sales and type in questions like, how do I increase my sales, or how do I get better at sales? How do I make more sales? We kind of think about it from that perspective. They might, I guess they're not asking, how do I improve my mindset about sales? But that's the answer. And so we got to find, what are they asking? So how to increase sales of any, obviously there's going to be a lot here. And these are, we've got the filters turned on. So how to increase sales when business is slow. Let's see that. So how to increase sales in a coffee shop. I mean, obviously really specific, or in a competitive market. Yeah. Or how to calculate percentage increase in sales revenue. How to increase postage. That doesn't relate, but. So obviously we'd be able to keep digging and digging and digging. And that's, I like that we found an example. We kind of hit a wall initially, like sales mindset. Because you just got to play around up here a little bit about, okay, well, what are they asking where sales mindset is the answer? All right.
Super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, obviously same thing. You just come over here and you'd hit export so that you could keep those ones. So let's take one more example. Do we have one more volunteer, Kim? And I think you're still muted, Kim.
Okay, I'm looking, and if I don't see one, I will be your person, but I don't want to take a spot if anybody else is interested. Any other hands? Am I missing anybody? Let me double check.
We got a shy crowd of NSA speakers.
All right.
Yoakum just
so,
went in.
I'm sorry?
Yoakum just added a question.
Yeah, that's for at the Q&A at the end.
All right, well, let's just do
he's welcome to take this one. That wasn't the, did you want to do the search?
All right, Kim, what do you put in that search bar for you, one of your trees?
Media training.
All right. Okay, so trainer dragon. I'll show you another thing here. You could come into the exclude and just get rid of dragon. Just to show you, just to kind of demonstrate that, now that one filters out. But how to train your employees to use social media. Does that kind of relate to what you're talking about, or what do you mean for media training?
So, like training for whether it's messaging or television or even podcasting. So not social media. So,
so you help people with their content or their presence?
I help them with their presence. I help them with their messaging, and I help them understand how to use the media, their delivery.
So the one thing that I think would be really helpful, and I love doing real examples like this, because it kind of opens our minds of how we could use this tool, because we might dig through media training or search another way, but there's only a few here that had search volume. But that's obviously really, it covers a lot that you do. So if you help people with, do you help people like improving their confidence when they speak?
I do. So one of the things I've started talking about is visibility coaching, because media training now people tend to think social media, which is I use, but it's not my expertise. Oh, not disability, visibility, with a V as in
visibility. Yeah, that's a big difference, isn't it? Both important. Okay, so what are people searching for? Like, they want to be found, right? They want to have a better presence. They want to be better at presenting. So try and think of what would be, what are the words that they would be using, or what are they struggling with? What are their pain points?
So
maybe on camera presentation.
I was going to say on camera or presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's go with the word presentation. We're obviously going to find a whole lot, and we don't want the word present in there. So let's go to exact match. So we'll only have exactly the word presentation in there, and then we can start to narrow it down by what we see, because there's a lot. How to record a PowerPoint presentation with audio, or how to make a video with PowerPoint. So if we wanted to exclude PowerPoint, we could, Not that we want to, but just as an illustration.
Okay.
So tell me if you see anything that you see here that you like, or if we need to narrow it down somewhere.
I saw one, how not to be nervous during a presentation, but that's,
And that would be an example of one that we could take over to YouTube. And also, I mean, it's got a high volume, but also the way, like it's kind of the opposite. So how to not be nervous or how to be confident, but I like it. Let's just see what competition there is. So this one's how to reduce stress, how to deal with stress, how to not get instead of not be nervous for presenting. So it's similar, and she's got 28,000 views. So I would say, I wouldn't say make this as your first episode and then see if you rank at the top. But within a few months of running this strategy, I would say actually just go for this. Sometimes when there's a lot of competition, I might not touch a title for a year or more, because there's going to be so many others, that that have, because in this realm, there's just, we could probably find many hundreds of.
Should I be more
topics around
specific about
presentations.
television, like television delivery or television interviews?
Yeah,
Interesting.
like.
And your narrow
Presentation. I'll
focus
just
is
put in.
sports media, right?
Well, I do all media in my training, but like I have a corporate client now that I'm doing training with. Most of my training,
Right,
most of my clients are not sports.
Okay.
So I just included the word interview as an example, and I had to take it back to a broad match.
Okay.
Because the word present here works well. How should I present myself in an interview?
Okay.
Is one that might work, or how, for a job interview. So, and I found a word prepare. So you might do another search and say how to prepare for TV.
For TV interview.
Or how to prepare. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Awesome. Was that helpful?
That was helpful.
Yeah. So it takes some digging and some finessing of the input you put in there, but it really just provides us a gold mine of resources. So hopefully you guys all use this tool. And as much as I promote it, again, it's not my company. It's the tool that I use, and the strategy really does work well. So now let me bring up.
Hey Nate, before we end, we're going to do Q&A later. When we get these titles that we're going to use as we develop them, do we repeat them after a certain amount of time, or they should always, can you ever repeat them?
Yeah, you can repeat. Let me share Google again, and I will actually show you. I'm going to show you one of my clients that wouldn't mind their spreadsheet, and I'll just show you. Let me pick. Who do I want to pick on? We'll pick Michelle Villalobos. She's an NSA member. She's been in Miami, but she's currently in Denver. All right. Oops, I didn't mean to bring up WhatsApp. All right, so she's color coded it. She's found a whole lot, and then she's color coded it according to different dates that she's filming them. But so we just find them, and we kind of organize them in the way that looks the best. Like, she wanted to search for people that wanted to run more of a lifestyle business, and so we had struggle. We didn't find any questions there, but so we found like struggling businesses. And okay, so this, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily answer your question, but in the beginning, like with the podcast example, there were thousands, and there were a lot that were extremely similar. And so you would comb through, like, find unique ones, like, oh, I haven't talked about that topic before. Ooh, there's a new one that I never would have thought of. Just make a list of all the unique different titles and topics that you can talk about. But you will have your kind of like your core content, like the main keynote that you get hired for, or one of the main models that you teach, or strategies, right? Like for me, I teach my 5-ingredient formula a lot. And so I include that, I repeat that a lot in a lot of my content. And that's going to be natural. I mean, somebody that follows you and watches every one of your episodes, it's good to hear the same material again. Repetition is good. And to hear it applied in a different way, like you might share a different example or whatnot. So you don't have to worry about repetition too much. And at the same time, having new, fresh content is always good, right? Now, that actually is a good segue into what I'm going to share here, the sequel technique. What that is how to create kind of a sequel of a successful video. So I want to show you an example. And where did I put my little advancer? There we go. And yep, it's frozen on me, but we know how to deal with that. We're used to that. So the first example that I'm going to show you, there it is with Chris Crone. You notice that both these videos have the same title. It's like I planted you, Kim, with that question. So here's the story. The video on the bottom was the original one, How to Invest Your Money in Your 20s, and he shared his story. You see, it's only a 5-minute video. He had a game room. This was in his previous house. He had a game room, and he's pool table, and he shared a story for 5 minutes, answering this question about how he retired in his 20s and what he did to invest in real estate. Well, that video, in the analytics, we noticed that it started doing well. We got it ranked in search, like you've learned how to do, and it started to get suggested traffic. And suggested traffic started to, I think at the time the video had gotten up to over 60,000 views. And so, and when I saw the number of views, I'm like, okay, where's this coming from? Ooh, it's suggested. That means the algorithm likes this video. Let's make a sequel. So I went to Chris and I said, all right, we're going to make another episode with the exact same title. I want you to share the same story, but add more to it. Let's make the video longer. We weren't, if you notice there, it's 20 minutes long. We weren't planning on it being that long. And instead of him just sitting in one place, I put the camera on a glide cam so we could walk around kind of this is the first video. I had him show his car. He says, I don't want to be that guy. Now he shows it all the time. But I had him drive away and pull up in his BMW i8. The wing door opens, and that's when I kind of hit record. He gets out and walks into his house as he's talking. Like, all right, today I'm going to talk about how to invest your money in your 20s. And we go in the front door, and we didn't stage this, but he had a cleaning lady. So he says, hey, cleaning lady, that was vacuuming. And he basically shared the same story, but he drew some things on a flip chart. He walked into the kitchen and got some ice water. And people really liked it. So what happened when you launch a sequel and it's successful? Not all of them are successful. Let me actually back up and say one other thing. You can find successful videos on other people's channels, and a lot of times if you search for sequel technique on YouTube, this is what you're going to find. You're going to find a successful video on somebody else's channel, and you create one with the same title, and you kind of create a sequel to it, so you can piggyback after that. That works rarely, like I would say 5% of the time. So it's worth trying 5% when you can use that to build momentum. But I would say focus on the leaf strategy first, and every once in a while, if you want to incorporate a sequel that goes after another channel, go for it. Okay. In this case, we're creating a sequel of one of our own videos. It's going to work majority of the time, because this is a winner. The YouTube algorithm is suggesting. So if you make another one with that same exact title and you make the video better, now when I say better, try and think about it from the perspective of the algorithm. Like, so a video that keeps people's attention long, the algorithm is going to like. So that's why we wanted to make it a little bit longer. In this case, we went 20 minutes. So what happened is typically the first few weeks, the YouTube algorithm will test it out, and it did perform above average. I mean, we kind of expected it, like, okay, this one will be an above average video. But then 3 weeks in, boom, it took off. Now that video, that one is the one that I shared earlier that got over 6 million in a 2-year period, and the ad revenue to me was 160,000. That's the episode. So I can attribute that to Chris made the original. Well, I filmed it. He made the first episode. I gave him the title. I found the idea for, hey, let's create a sequel. This one should perform well. And boy, did it ever. And boy, was it rewarding, and it brought him a lot of leads and a lot of growth and subscribers to the channel. So that's the first example of the sequel technique. The next one I'm going to show you is for Noel, and we'll wait for my computer. Just needs to wake up. I don't know. It takes now. Want me to move forward again? There we go. So I've shared a lot of details about Noelle's channel. She's up to 250,000 subscribers now. Most of her videos are on real estate, investing, specifically Airbnb. But the first video that spiked was on business credit. Yeah, so I'm just trying to remember what I circled that for. So all of her lead generation videos were on the real estate videos. Those are the ones that are generating leads. But she had a video, how to get business credit with poor personal credit, and that one took off. And you'd be like, well, that one, like, that's kind of unfortunate. But what happened is, like, when the tide comes in and all the boats in the harbor rise together, the same thing happens with your YouTube channel. When the video on business credit took off, all of the estate videos rose as well. And so, this screenshot I took quite a while ago, but we were getting many thousands of views, and all those videos you see across the top, with the exception of the first one, but 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 across the top there are all many of views, which is great for a first launch of the video. She's getting even more than that now because the channel's bigger. I want to show you what we then did. Oh, and it froze again. It's got to keep me on my toes. It doesn't want me to pause. I got to keep moving. There we go. So you see on the is the original, and then the one on the right is the sequel. You notice it has the exact same title, and it's a minute longer. So the story behind that is this was in August, and we were having a conversation like, look, this video has spiked. It's done super, super well. Our next filming date was 2.5 weeks away. So she's in Orlando, and she was, flying to Utah for another 20 episodes. But I said, I really want to really leverage spike. We went from 5,000 up to 20,000 views in a day, and it was keep continuing to go. And I'm like, I want to maintain this as long as we can. So can you film another video on your own that's maybe a minute longer, that covers the same stuff, and see if you can just make it better, more engaging? So she took on that challenge, sent me the footage, and we then edited it from there. And so that's the one that's on the right. And it worked. Just screenshot, after 4 weeks, that video had gotten up to 26,000 views. And then when she did come to Utah, we filmed more topics related to business credit, because business credit became a hot topic. And she didn't have a product before, but now she does. Just in the last few weeks, she's launched a product. I look at the specifics. I just saw that she gave us the link that we could put for her in the description. So now she has an offer to sell to that audience, in addition to her real estate training. So anyway, that's just something fun to look forward to, because you have everything that you need, 5 ingredients to really get started. Start with the keyword research, start filming these videos that answer the questions, start launching 1 episode per week at a minimum. And when it's realistic, at the capacity, when you increase to 5 episodes per week, that's when you'll begin your 4-month boring period, where you're just really laying that solid foundation of search. That 4-month mark, you'll start to get the suggested traffic, and you can start A/B split testing on your thumbnails because you have higher volume, and you can start the SQL technique and find opportunities in the analytics, and it just gets funner and funner. If funner is a word, my daughter loves grammar, so she would critique me there. More fun, right? So let's take some more Q&A, and then we'll do the auction.
Okay, so why choose phrases that have between 10 and 100 searches or whatever per month? Should that number change over time, and does it relate to any performance number, like as a number of views I currently get?
So the reason that I have that default is because if you stick to the defaults, the strategy will work. You're going to small enough search volume that most everyone else that uses that tool for any type of SEO, they ignore those phrases because they don't think they have enough search volume. The strategy of search engine optimization in the past, whether for websites or nowadays for YouTube, was to be the top dog, right? So I want to find a phrase that's got the most search volume, and I want to be number 1. If number one is up here and you're like, oh, I'm competing, oh, I'm number two, oh, finally I'm number one. Well, guess what? Number two is going to do more SEO to beat you. You know, it's just this competitive game, and you know, there's some big fish out there with all of our topics, right? And so if we try and compete, just not a game that's worth playing. But we don't have to. We go after a phrase that gets 10 searches a month. And keep in mind, when we're going with an 8-word phrase or an 8-word question, there are other questions that are very, very similar, just worded slightly different. So there's 10 just for that exact phrase, but there might be really 500 people searching for that kind of question, or maybe even just 100, right? So what the goal is, we just need a trickle of traffic of people that should all the way to the end. That's all I want. That's all I care about. You know, if it's a flood of traffic, well, yeah, that's awesome. But typically when you go after phrases that give you a flood of traffic, there's too much competition, and so you don't get any traffic. That makes sense? So we want a trickle of traffic that will watch all the way to the end. That impresses the YouTube algorithm, and now the algorithm starts to work for you and finds more and more people to watch your videos. Does that give a little clarity?
Yep. Does that answer it for you? Okay, yes. The other thing is, what about how do live streams work? Do you like them for YouTube? For those of us who are live streamers, and is the time the same?
Yeah, great question. Live stream, it's do an experiment as far as length and stuff. I don't do them a whole lot. Several of my clients do. Noelle Randall is one that does. She does 1 or 2 live streams every week. I know on the weekends is one she. So really, it's an experiment, right? See how it performs. Now you'll have an average number of views that you'll get when you launch a video. Over the last week, you'll look at your last 5 videos and you say, okay, on average, I'm getting, say, 350 views in that first week. And you do a live stream, you'll probably get a higher number than that, maybe 400, 500, right? But in the long run, these leaf videos will then, they'll go from 300 to 600 to 900. They'll over the years they'll get tens of thousands of views, whereas the live streams kind of fade out. They're more in demand in real time, but they don't have that same built-in strat. I mean, you can research in advance. You can still incorporate that strategy, and sometimes, like, there's all types of things that you can do. Strategies that you can think of, like if you've got an awesome episode coming out on Thursday morning and you want to do live stream, you can talk about a topic and say, and stay tuned tomorrow because this episode, oh man, this amazing thing happened, or I share this principle. So you can leverage live stream to catch people live and interact, and obviously there's Q&A and stuff that becomes more and more valuable the bigger your audience is. So that's really the most I can talk to, because I don't do that a lot, but a lot of my clients will get those results. So. Okay.
One more question. Well, if I have 2 completely different topics for 2 completely different audiences, is it better to have one channel and leverage the success of one topic towards the other, or do the algorithms hurt and I'm better with 2 separate channels?
Yeah, it's a case-by-case scenario, because, right, you mentioned the word audience. If you're building a channel, you really want to focus on the audience and create content that audience will like. And so if the other type of content is a complete different audience, you need 2 channels. The challenge with that is, you've already seen it's a lot of work to get one channel where we want it. And if you have divided attention now between 2 channels, it's less likely that any one of them will succeed. So if you can find a way of putting both those channels together. If I train on leadership and I train on sales, I mean, those are related enough that really the name of my channel would be Nate Woodbury. Those aren't my topics, but it'd be the Nate Woodbury channel, and I could just do leaf topics on all of those things. And then the banner, kind of the branding that I put around it is, helping you succeed in leadership and in sales for your business, so you incorporate that, but It looks cohesive. For the person that asked the question, what specifically are the two different topics?
One of them is trust and how to be trusted, how to build trust. The other one is really what's currently building my channel, and that's the tech tips for speakers.
So I could see you could probably find a way of making that work. Let me give you a real with something that I'm dealing with on my channel, the Nate Woodbury channel. So the videos that have really taken off the most on my channel is why I hire people in the Philippines. I've gotten millions and millions of views. And my videos about my YouTube strategies that I teach and in any business or entrepreneurship, I found that they are two different audiences. The biggest audience, if I were talking to you guys about why I hire people in the Philippines, but a lot of Filipinos that want to get jobs from me, I've got 22 team members, but I don't need thousands. A lot of them want to work, you know, they comment like, oh, thank you so much for shouting our praises. And that's the difficulty. I've realized, well, I've got two different audiences here, and the audience that's not my target audience for my business has gotten really big there. And so I've started to really like, I've stopped producing all content relating to that topic, hiring people in the Philippines. But I even just in the last week, so probably roughly a week ago today, I went in and I unlisted about 30 different episodes on my channel. And so views dropped, revenue dropped, but I'm like, I've really got to steer this. And so I would really, the best way to answer your question is not by topic, I guess, or on the audience, right? You want to, because you'll have different segments of your audience. You know, some videos, some types of videos might cater more to women, some might cater more to men, some might age demographic, some to an older demographic. But overall, they're similar in audience. Definitely, like if you have a hobby of fly fishing, and you're not talking about, so if you talk about business and you talk about fly fishing, that's kind of a rough mix. If you business while you're fly fishing, you could probably make that work. But anyway, hopefully that gives you some good ideas there.
And Robin talked about format-wise. Can you talk about talking head, which seems what she would do, but how do you avoid being boring visually?
Yeah, great question. Because how-tos are wanting to talk to get an answer from an individual. Real, they want to see your face. So talking head is great. One thing that I do a lot. So if I mess up and I need to, let me say that again, team, and I start the sentence over, my team will edit out that mistake. Or if I pause or if I say or a lot, they'll edit that out. And so typically when they cut here, piece it together, you have what's called a jump cut. Mm-hmm. Jump cuts are fine on YouTube, by the way. We use them all the time. But you can also do a crop edit, or we'll also call it a zoom edit or a zoom transition. And so what it looks, the frame, I'm trying to, there we go, get the size of the screen here. Well, this is really hard to do. It's because it's reverse on my screen. I'm seeing the mirror image of me. But anyway, the screen size changes. So it's like if you do zoom changes, it's kind of as if, I'm leaning in and I'm talking to you for 20 seconds. Okay, now I'm back here, and I really want to emphasize a point, I can zoom in. So you can do, you'll notice on my channel and on the channels that I produce, we'll do crop edits like that. This adds more complexity, but you can change locations. So you can film the first, couple minutes in your living room, and then the next couple minutes you're in the kitchen, and then back to the living room. So, I don't want to overcomplicate this. When we film 20 episodes in a day and we do that, we'll actually skip around and okay, we're filming all of our kitchen pieces, and it adds more work and whatnot. But like let's go back to things that are simpler and we talk about a lot in the NSA, and that's how to keep people's attention, like telling stories. Yeah. Keep people's attention engaged longer. Just really like focusing on the flow of our content, and we set content hooks in the beginning, like with that strep throat remedy example by setting hooks in the beginning, like this is what I'm covering first, and there's 3 ingredients, and so I'm going to cover each one of those. You get people's attention, get them to stick around longer. Any follow-up to that? Okay.
I was just going to say, offer this to her, Robin. Think about it like it's a segment on TV, which is what you're doing when we're doing these virtual presentations. It has to be engaging and interesting. And so if you shoot it that way, and the same way you would deliver a keynote, but a 15-minute one.
I do have another thing to say that's rude for speakers to hear. And this is something that when I take on a new client, that I really kind of pressure my clients to understand this in the beginning, because we're so used to presenting live, presenting on a stage or on Zoom. And we, especially on the stage, we don't get a look at our notes. If we say something wrong, we can't fix it. So we try and memorize the whole flow of the presentation the best that we can, and just have the best delivery. Now, when you're filming on video that's going to be edited, you can take all that pressure off. In fact, I've got some notes right here. This is a filming outline, and this is complex because I did a multi-location strategy. Let me try and find one that's all right. So just notice you're going to be able to see that. Let me focus. There we go.
Yeah.
So if I look down at point number 1, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. I look at the camera, I talk about that point, and then I stop. Pause, look down, point number 2, look back at the camera, deliver point number 2. I don't have to remember. In fact, I tell my clients intentionally pause, only do one point at a time so you can deliver that point completely, right? You've justice. So you're not going to skip ahead prematurely, like, oh, I kind of forgot that one piece. Oh, well. But it helps, like, it keeps a cadence to your video. It's like people are taking one bite at a time. And so when it takes the pressure off, because you can just like, yeah, this is simple. I've got all my notes prepared. Oh yeah, what's point number 5? Okay, and I just deliver point of stress. So that's one thing that I really encourage you to do that will actually make your videos more conversational and less presentation mode. It will help to keep your videos flowing, and it makes filming easier because you know that if you start out point number 5, like, oh, let me try that one again, edit those out so you can make as many you want. If you're the one editing, you're giving yourself more work, but it's worth it. So.
Okay. Yurman, ask your question, Yurman. I think he's kind of talked about it.
Yeah, you were looking at the tool for things that have 10 to 100 searches per month, but the absolute right column, you had the number of videos that came, number of results. And so is that something I should worry about? Like it has 200 million results. One of them had 2.4 billion results. Should I worry about that?
I would say no. And it's not that there's not other valuable data there, but I just like to keep things simple. I haven't found one example, because I have many of my clients that even though I do the keyword research for them, subscribe to the SEMrush Keyword Magic tool, they'll do it and they'll show me things and like, well, ooh, look at this one shows the results, and I haven't found that it's benefited them in any cases to do that. So it's not that it's going to hurt you, but it takes more time to do it. I just like to keep things simple. I found that really you do it the way that I really just showed you. It's not more complicated than that, and it will work. So.
All right, so we are getting close to the end. Did somebody raise their hand? If so, did I see a hand?
Mike's got a question.
Before you go, Mike, let me just say that we are getting close to the end, and I want to clarify about the auction. It's for 1 hour. He usually does them in 4-hour blocks, but it's for 1 hour. So if I was confusing about that earlier, my apologies. All right, if you'll go, Mike.
We're just curious, is there any guidance that you have on our YouTube actually page when somebody goes there, since we're posting that as far as anything that you'd suggest?
If we have time, I could actually take a look at it now and give feedback, but I don't know if we're.
I wouldn't look at mine because it's so.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I'm
the
spending
first
time
things
with
that
it. That's my project.
Yeah,
so.
I've got a like I can look at a YouTube channel and like learn a lot from it right off the bat. I do look at the number of subscribers, and I look at the videos, and I look at their titles. You know, or how are they? I try and like guess how are they getting their traffic? What are their thumbnails look like? Does it look like a corporation? Does it look like a person that I want to follow? Do they look fun? Do they put time and effort into their thumbnails? And so, yeah, there's a whole assessment that you could do on a channel. Those are some of the big things that I look for right off the bat.
Got it.
Do you have your clients use teleprompters?
You know, a lot of them, even those that have a great experience using teleprompters, I typically steer away from. You know, one reason is it adds a technical city that causes a little bit of delays trying, the text didn't move just like I wanted it to. The other part of it is you need to be really good at not sounding like reading.
Yeah.
Even newscasters, you know, when you're watching, you know, they're clearly using teleprompters. It's not conversational, and that's their profession. That's what they're really good at. And so because it's not live, and because scripting out things word for word, you know, takes forever, but just scripting out bullet points is so much easier. Like, we know our content inside and out, and some of the videos you might need to script and you might need to use a teleprompter. You know, I recommend getting the ones that have the reflective glass so you can look right into the lens of the camera. Or if you're looking just below the camera, like, you might need to step back a little bit, do a test and see, does it look like I'm looking at the camera, or can you tell that I'm looking down or looking off to the side? The side's a little bit more obvious because we're used to knowing, you know, telling, are people looking at me? And so we want to make that eye contact. Just recently, I had a client that she's like, I am really good on a teleprompter. I'm so comfortable. Can I just try it? So we tried it, and she did good, right? But I said, okay, now I want you to try without it. There was one, anyway, she had her outlines prepared, and I said, let's just not use the teleprompter. Just look down at one point at a time. And, you know, by the end of the day, she came to me and says, yeah, I really fought you on that, but now I see it. You know, it's easier to prepare, and I get it. You know, I get it now. Now, with that said, when wait for the focus to get on this. So this is all in video 9. I filmed that point in the living room, but that point in the great room, and then I did my call to action back in the living room. It's hard to wrap your head around that with bullet points, and so a teleprompter, if you're going to do some complex thing, you know, there are strengths and advantages to teleprompters, but my default recommendation is actually just do bullet points, no teleprompter, and just do one point at a time. So you're having a conversation. Like, instead of having your video come across as if you're presenting to a group, you want to just be talking to one person. You know, as if a friend called you up on the phone, asked you that question, and you're like, okay, yeah, well, there's actually five steps. The first thing that I recommend is you do this, you know, and then you look down at your notes. The second thing that I recommend, you know, so I just want it to be conversational. However, whether it's a teleprompter or not, that's the goal.
All right. Deanna was at the winter conference, and she joined us a little bit late. Can you tell us again the model of your Canon DSLR? And I will tell you guys, when I work with people, I discourage teleprompters, because if it's not what you do, it is very difficult to be conversational. I actually prefer not using teleprompters, and it's what I've done for 25 years. But anyway, DSLR, which one? You said a Canon, Nate?
Yeah, I use the Canon. The camera I'm using right here is my Canon 9D. The 80D is a good one, and that sounds like you're saying attention deficit disorder, but 80 is in the number. 80D is the predecessor, and it's just as good with the difference of 4K. I still film in 1080p anyway. It's a great DSLR. for video because it's got a flip screen. So if I'm filming myself, I can look right to the side and see everything. It's got a touch screen, and it's got that auto tracking focus. More and more cameras are starting to do that now, but the Canon 70D, the two predecessors, was the first one that did that, to where on video it would adjust. Now I know that my audio is getting different because my audio is right here, but that is a cool feature that this line of cameras can do. That's why I went with this line.
All right. Well, Nate, you've been amazing. So this is the auction again. Nate's going to donate 1 hour of consulting, and just as a point of reference, his consulting, he doesn't usually for hourly, but it's $1,000 an hour, and he typically sells it in 4-hour blocks. Now, this is not 4 hours, it's just 1 hour, but just to give you a sense, if you normally would try to purchase consulting from him, you'd have to get a 4-hour block. So we're gonna put in a chat what the auction bids are. He's going to donate 100% of whatever auction is to NSA Houston. We'll manage on our end getting that taken care of and letting Nate who the winner is. It'll be before we finish today, if you'll put your numbers in the chat. And while we're doing that, Nate, let me see here, a little something, if I can get it to open for you. Let me share my screen. So listen, we know that there's a number of things you could have been doing today, and we just wanted to give you something to let you know that we appreciate your time. I'll send this to you, but if we were in person, you would have handwritten notes, but we're not, we're virtual. So these are just thoughts that people have talked about, what they're taking away from the day, and how much it meant having you visit with us. So I'll send this to you so you can have it. It's just a little bit of a token of appreciation for your time today, because we know you could have been doing a lot of stuff. So we really, really appreciate you sharing your wisdom.
Welcome.
So I am going to start in the chat and see, and we're going to give it a few minutes. Are there any announcements in the chat before we start to wrap up for today? Remember, we have this Nate to consult with him for an hour, and I hope you're not going to be a problem.
Hold on.
I'll stop, Kim.
And there's Elena. There's always one.
We didn't. Well, what are the increments? What's the rules?
No rules.
There
All right,
weren't
well,
any.
then I'm playing the way we need to play. You asked if there were any announcements. NSA Nationals is in the middle of NSA Winter Conference right now. So, I mean, unfortunately, we had to reschedule on top of it. But if you didn't purchase it, know that it's still available. You can get that, and you can watch you can watch the recordings. Incredible content. Very helpful for diversifying our revenue streams. A great way to adapt together, which is what we continue to talk about. Also, NSA is July in Las Vegas, so it'll also be a hybrid. So there'll be a virtual, you can attend virtually, or you can go to Las Vegas. We understand we are still in a pandemic, but we're trying to begin to try to lead the direction of the industry. So be on the lookout for that. Some great discounts now, so if you want to get that early bird discount. So I wanted to mention NSA Influence registration open today. Take advantage of the discount, and then you can make the decision later. Who is doing that while I'm talking? He just tripping. But you can take advantage of that and make sure that you stay connected to nationals and stay connected to the herd of wonderful unicorns running around trying to change the world. That's what NSA is all about, the spirit of Cabot. So back over to you, Kim. That's all I had for national announcements.
All right. We'll give it a couple more minutes.
That we're doing in this hour, that whoever the winner is, we can do keyword research together. we could take a look at your YouTube channel, and I can give feedback there. Or we can talk and answer any other questions that you have. So we'll just spend an hour together, fully focused on you and your YouTube channel.
Oh, my.
Well, you got rid of me, Kim.
I know, but who knew he was going to jump
All for a
in?
good cause, and look what you gain as a result.
Kim, remember that you're the one declaring when the auction is done.
I know, but I have to
Establish
be
the
fair.
rules behind that.
Oh, I have to be fair. We are in a pandemic, so I'm
and
gonna have
the
to let
auction's
Mike get
over.
it.
We're trying to help you, Kim. Come on.
I know, right? Yeah, no, we're in a pandemic. I need to let Mike get it. Darn
Going
it.
once, going twice, send.
Well, listen.
Oh, to Michael June. All right. I figured I would take you out of that, Kim.
I think she was just pushing the envelope. I'm not sure, but
No, I needed help with my channel. But hey,
my
listen.
problem was I kept
I'll
bidding,
tell
but I
you
was
what.
bidding.
So Mike is the winner. He rounded it off at, but secretly my plan was after the auction closed to offer an additional 2 spots. So I'll give over to 3 of you if the 3 of you want to pay that same amount. So you'll each pay $400. It all goes to your chapter. But if there are 2 more of you that want to take an hour of consulting, I'll do that to obviously help you out and help out the chapter.
Okay.
That is so generous. Thank you, Nate. Half of our chapter. We're so grateful for that financial contribution to our chapter and you demonstrating the spirit of Cavett. We appreciate that. Who are our takers? Let's go ahead and get them on record.
I just wish I stopped at 300.
I know. If you'd have just left it alone, we could have all been a part of it, Mike. Jeez.
See how that worked?
So I saw Elena, you raised your hand, right?
Yeah, so I'm taking one, and I'm raising my hand for Kelsey because she captures this information for us. Kelsey, our virtual assistant. So Kelsey, put me down for one.
Do I see Mike, Kim, and Elena? Are those the 3?
Yeah.
I guess.
You don't have to.
No, I need the help though, because my channel is clearly a mess. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all. That's great.
Thank you. Go try to sell some popcorn.
Hey, Elena, I had to take you out of that too.
Thank you.
No, it's Elena.
Yeah, no.
Right?
No, she's in.
Oh, you're talking about taking me out with your added, yes. It's all fun, and we are so thankful to our chapter.
So, hey, thank you so much. And all this right at being on time. So we know that what you're giving us, what you gave us today was great value. We know these sessions are going to be amazing value. So we really appreciate you. And thank you so much for being so flexible to be able to reschedule with us. We appreciate it. If that's nothing else, Kelsey will send us invoices, those of us who have gotten fortunate enough to win this bid. That is my dog saying it's time to go. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, Nate.
You so much.
You're very welcome.
Hey,
That was fabulous. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.